Welcome back to another episode of the Screaming Idiots Show. We've got the usual suspects in here, Kyler, Tyler, and Preston. Got another special guest in here with us. We're happy to have our buddy Ryan on. Ryan, what's up, man?
How's it going?
It's going, bro. It's going. How you been living, man?
Pretty good. I will admit my music life has been pretty damn quiet in the last probably year or so. I've been pretty dormant, not really doing a whole lot.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a break from I remember, especially back in 2017. I just felt like between 2017 and 2019, we hit it so damn hard.
Yeah.
And we were playing shows. It felt like almost every weekend.
Sure.
We did a lot of weekenders. So
It wears you out, man.
Fridays, Saturdays, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And then it went from this was a weekly thing, playing shows, practicing, writing, recording, to nothing.
Same thing as us.
And
Yep.
the three of us all kind of got a little you know what? This is kind of nice to have a little bit of have my weekends back, spend time at home. I can get into other hobbies and stuff. And then we didn't really we probably played our first show back probably 2021 in summertime. I think it might have been June or July.
Yeah.
I played our first show back from COVID, which was a house show in a basement. Because even then at the time, venues,
some of the funnest.
your smaller DIY venues were still not doing shows because COVID was still kind of a problem.
Yep.
And then we hit it pretty hard for a while, and then it died back down. I joined another band for a while and did both, and then I quit that band. I don't know, probably 2 years ago maybe. And then now I'm in a second band now that I'm doing stuff with, so I'm kind of burning the candles at both ends
Sure.
now.
So what's the name of both bands that you're in right now?
My main squeeze, my main band's called Derailed. I've been in Derailed since fall of 2015. And then the other band I just joined last summer, we're called Akashic Haze. We're based out of Circleville.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I think there's a decent metal scene.
There is a
in
pretty good. I mean, Ryan, you would know better than me.
Yeah. There's not a lot of venues there to play.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of metal bands that exist there. I'm not super familiar with a lot of them. A lot of metalheads in Circleville. We played a show at Toodles last summer. We actually had Derailed was on that show too. Which is kind of nice.
So
You
both
just play two sets back to back.
Yeah.
Same instrument with
yeah,
both bands?
played
Okay.
drums. I was fucking worn out at the end of that
Oh,
one.
man.
But we played at Toodles, and if you've ever been to Toodles in Circleville, it's not necessarily a metal venue, but there's a lot of metal people that go there.
Yeah, I
luckily,
have been to Toodles for a show.
I have not.
Johnny Lawless band went.
Yeah. Well, that's the kind of stuff they normally book, and luckily we're pretty tight with the owner of Toodles. Ashley Tate is her name. We're like, let us do this. We probably it'll be good.
Shout out Ashley.
She was a little apprehensive about it, but dude, that show went great.
Was it fun?
We had Dope Slug from Columbus come down, and they're like a real drudgy kind of doom style band, which Akashic Haze is that real slow, sludgy,
like sludge metal.
I just imagine Black Sabbath with more fuzz.
Oh,
and,
sweet.
and slower.
Hell yeah.
And then Derailed, when I first joined Derailed, I was playing guitar, and we were playing more I call it sad divorced dad rock.
Yeah, butt rock.
Yeah. It wasn't really butt rock, but it was very Seether, Seether, Nirvana, Chevelle, that was kind of the sound we were going for and had.
Yeah. Shit we love.
Yeah, I still love it.
I still love it to this day.
And then,
Shit, you get me on a Chevelle kick or a Seether kick.
Yeah.
You answered my question because I was going to ask you if you could genreize the two bands. So you're kind of doing two completely different things with.
So what happened with Derailed, our original drummer quit.
Okay.
Probably, I was probably in the band for 8 months when he quit. There were some disagreements internally, which, to my knowledge, is about the only drama that we've ever had, because we're a pretty drama-free band.
Sure.
Good.
And then we picked up another drummer who I'll name drop, Jake Waters.
Oh, yeah, I know Jake.
Fucking phenomenal drummer.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's
he
an awesome
is,
drummer.
dude.
The first time I ever saw him drum was actually in his church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
dude,
Jake can
He goes
jam,
wild,
man.
dude.
fucking monster.
Yeah.
So when we picked him up, that really just gave us the potential of we could play and do anything we want now.
Yeah.
You know? So we were doing kind of this either divorced dad shit for a while, and then Caleb and I were sitting out back of his house one night having a bonfire, splitting a 30 rack of PBR.
Hell yeah.
And at the
That's
time,
metal as fuck.
at the time we were really, really into the band The Chariot.
Oh, yeah.
Why have I heard of them, but I can't?
They were Josh Scoggin, the front man, of the Chariot was in Norma Jean before the Chariot.
Okay.
Okay.
That's could be why.
Yeah.
We were real into that, and we had this conversation. He's like, "What would you think about like getting heavier and doing more like screams and just getting not quite like the Chariot level of chaos, but like just getting heavier?" And I'm like, "I'm waiting for you to say this for like 2
Every
years."
drummer ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was still playing guitar at the time.
Okay.
So
Every guitarist.
Yeah, I was gonna say
ever.
every guitarist ever.
straight up. So then we kind of got heavier and louder, and then over the years we kind of slowed down a little bit more and got a little more kind of like the stoner rock,
Cool.
more Sabbath inspired kind of stuff, but we still kind of keep that original like Derailed edginess to it. People ask all the time, like, what kind of music do you guys play? And I always tell people, I'm like, well, if you take like Black Sabbath with like kind of Pantera style vocals, but like the modern kind of chaos of like Norma Jean and the Chariot, and kind of just
That's
So that
a good
raw,
way to explain it.
that
Yeah.
raw big wall of
'cause
sound
we
type.
we don't like to do the whole like over processed stuff.
Uh-huh.
I think
Which we've touched on a lot on this
Yeah,
show.
we have
thus
talked
far.
it
about
was,
different.
Dave Grohl said in an interview one time, he's like, you know, rock and roll, like the people who make it are not perfect.
Sure.
Yeah.
And like we'll record stuff, and we don't really harp on it and try for it, but we're big fans of like, let's do it in one take.
Okay.
The vocals are a little bit different because you get tired.
Right.
You know, it just happens.
That gives me real Norma Jean vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, if I'm gonna do a drum track, I like to do it in one shot. Cause I hate editing drums.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. I'm not
Right.
good at it.
It
I don't
sucks,
like doing
dude.
it. It's horrible. So like we'll try and get like a drum track done in one shot and do a guitar track in one shot. And cause that's, if you're gonna come see us, we want our
It's a
recordings to sound like what we do live.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we almost kind of strive to make our live performances better than what we record and put out. Because one of my favorite bands, which also includes Josh Scoggins, called 68, they're a 2-piece band.
Two-piece.
And like if you go see them live, they have this massive fucking sound. It's so cool. And those experiences that I've had seeing them live super outweigh listening to the records. Don't get me wrong, the records are great, they sound awesome.
Yeah.
But we would particularly like rather leave people with like they're remembering the experience of our show than we would like, here's this CD, because you can play a CD and it's going to be the same every time. You listen to Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, you know what you're getting yourself into because you've heard it a bajillion times. But like you go see Pink Floyd, you're going to remember and talk about that experience more fondly than listening to the record over and over.
So that really reminds me of bands that we've talked about a lot. We've already talked about one here tonight, and bands that the three of us, just went and saw in concert is Norma Jean and Greyhaven. Because at least to me, both of those bands sound tremendously better live than they do on their records because they do something similar to what you just referred to. And I feel like, every song they do, each track is in one take. It's super raw. It's not overproduced. It is a big, gigantic wall of sound. It's not too refined. It is in your face.
Dude, one of my a big band that was a big like mind opener for me was Sleep. Have you ever heard of them?
Sleep.
They have this hour-long song. It's 63 minutes called Dope. It's called Dope Smoker.
Okay.
And the song is about a group of, they call them Hashishans. They call it like a bong huffing caravan going through the desert delivering marijuana to people.
Okay.
And it's this big,
Sounds
long,
amazing.
It's this big, long, epic song.
Sure.
The first time I heard that, I had this like, something just woke up in my mind. I was like, I love this driving, sludgy, slow doom metal sound. And then I saw them live. And Matt Pike, who he's actually the guitar player for High on Fire.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard of High on
know
Fire.
that.
No, I don't think I've
You're-
heard of them.
You're dropping a bunch of
He
shit.
is. He's getting me
This is why you're on the
credits and
show,
stuff.
bro. It's
Look, I haven't listened to it. I mean, I listened to it like one time in passing.
They won Metal Album of the Year in 2020, I think.
High on fire.
They
you
have
said.
a Grammy. But anyways,
Okay.
I saw Sleep for the first time, and Matt Pike, you know the like stereotypical like rock and roll guy, guitar player who has like the wall of amplifiers behind him.
yes.
Well, we all know that's fake. We all know that there's
Yeah.
Axe
Right.
Effects behind stage that's
Yeah.
plugged in. Matt Pike is not that guy with the Axe Effects behind stage. He will play with this giant wall of orange rock reverbs and Thunderbirds. And,
Why is it always orange amps too when I see shit like
because
that?
that's the stoner, like that's
It is.
stoner
It's
and
that
doom is
sound,
orange,
man. Yep.
Every single one of those cabs and amplifiers are real.
Wow.
And then their bass player, Al, plays a giant wall of Ampeg 8x10s and SVTs. And they're just huge. I mean, it rattles your teeth. Like, you have feelings in your teeth. Like, they're going to be gone when you walk out of the show.
That reminds you of like going to
It's so cool.
seeing live shows of bands in like the 80s and 90s where they had this gigantic wall.
Yeah.
The whole stage is
Yeah.
a wall of cabs and amps.
Yeah.
And
One
like
of
you
them
said,
was real.
you know, one of those fuckers is real.
Yeah.
and,
Well,
and the rest is for show.
So
Looks
when you see Sleep, you have this like full body experience of the whole entire thing, and I always harp back to I'd rather have that experience of giving people a live show over.
Yeah.
Hey, go listen to the soulless Spotify. You know,
Well, it's funny
show,
you say that
which
because
is
there's
great, but you know.
there's so many bands that I have listened to or tried to get. You know how you like, or at least we've talked about it, where I like try to force myself to get into a band.
You
with
do, bro.
somebody.
You will rape yourself.
Somebody
with a
hypes
shitty
them up
band
to
just-
me, and there's been several bands that I went and seen live, and I'm like, all right, I get it now.
Yep.
Now I understand.
Dude, one of the coolest bands I've ever seen. They actually opened for 21 Pilots
Okay.
in Columbus at the LC. And this was kind of like before 21 Pilots was like the giant internet meme that they are now.
Yeah.
And I was real into them in high school, so I went
Mhm.
up that night and saw them in this 3-piece rock band from Dayton called, they're not around anymore, called Red Hot Revival opened up.
hmm
Just like real like bluesy, smoky blues rock.
Okay.
And they were fucking incredible. So then I remember getting home after the show and I looked them up on Bandcamp, and their recording literally sounded like they put like an SM58 in the middle of the room and pushed record on a tape recorder. But it like
Wow.
it sounded so neat. It was produced so shitty. They fucking nailed it.
They knew.
They nailed it. They nailed it. I was like, and I still
His
have those.
production's so shitty. It was
I
almost
love it.
artistic. How
I
shitty.
feel like
it
the type of
was.
music and what he's talking about, he's going to shit on a lot of the bands
So-
that are
so
over
fine,
processed.
though.
Listen, that
because
That's why I'm
because
here.
I'm cool with shit like
Yeah,
that. As
yeah.
long
Yeah.
as the music's good, I'm in there.
That
I don't
reminds
care
me
what it's
of
produced
and
like.
it, completely different genre and completely different era. But if you go back and listen to Megadeth's first album, "Killing Is My Business,"
Sounds like
it's
sounds terrible.
horrible.
Yeah.
And when you-
Songwriting's there though.
The
Yeah.
songwriting's
Kill 'Em
great. The
All.
riffs are
Kill 'Em All sounds like
Kill 'Em
shit.
All sounds
Yep.
like
It
shit.
does. I'm
It
sorry.
does. It sounds
Oh,
horrible.
God damn, those riffs are great.
All of the
Megadeth.
Granted, they
those
were
riffs
all-
are so good.
granted they were all written by Dave Mustaine, but that's a
That's why they're so
different
good.
story. Exactly. But if you go back and listen to some of those bands' first records, the production is horrible.
Yep.
It's so hollow, but it makes you listen to the song more because you don't want to hear the fucking mix.
But then
Yeah.
back then,
Right.
I would assume that it was such a different sound, and it wasn't this
No.
clean
Go-
party that
I would-
people just
I
loved.
would disagree because if you go listen to the difference between Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning,
Uh-huh.
Ride the Lightning is
Sounds
I see. Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
1 year later.
Right.
So it was just, they were poor. They couldn't afford
So,
to have
like,
it mixed well.
Being being in bands over the years, like when I hear and listen to Kill 'Em All, and I listen to the production quality and whatnot, like I know what it's like to not be able to afford
Mhm.
Mr. Badass studio guy down the street, and we got to do it in the garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I sympathize with that. I'm like, I know why this is, and that's cool. So it makes it more fun for me.
Yep.
And like I've been in bands now since 2015. So that makes it cooler for me. Not everybody has that experience,
Right.
Because they
Right.
don't get it.
So let's take it back in time a little bit, Ryan, and how did you get started in be it rock or metal music? Like, did you grow up in a family that was
Yeah, I love answering this because I get to talk.
I love hearing.
I love
everybody
hearing
share
everybody's
their
story.
Well, I
Yeah.
get to talk about my mom.
There we
my
go.
mom death. So
There we go.
I'm not a mama's boy, but my mom is the shit. So.
My mom's fucking awesome too, bro. I get
Dude,
it.
she's made some cookies for me over Easter weekend. I took them all herself. Goddamn.
That's elite, bro.
Yeah. So my mom, she grew up. She was pretty young in like the '60s. So her older sister, my aunt, was super into the Beatles and got her into the Beatles. So that was always her kind of like style of music.
Sure.
And when I was a real young kid, Dad would go to work, and I'd stay home with Mom. And my family, we always have had some sort of really nice stereo system. my mom and dad have always valued having a nice stereo system, even to this
That's
day.
funny. The same thing went
Yeah.
around my family as well.
My mom would always have Sunny 95 playing, which is, I think, the Columbus station, maybe. Play the oldies, you know,
Mhm.
what we view as oldies. Apparently, that's the different term now.
The real boomer.
Because we're getting old.
Yeah, we're getting old.
But it was a lot of like the Doobie Brothers in Boston.
Okay.
Just the Journey
Yep.
was on there.
Yep.
Fleetwood Mac. Like I remember growing up hearing all that
Beautiful.
stuff. And then she bought a Simon and Garfunkel Greatest Hits CD, and I remember the first time I heard Mrs. Robinson, and I was like, that was the music that I heard that was like, this guy's playing a guitar. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
It was Simon and Garfunkel. So I was in the 4th grade when I kind of had that like little kid revelation. I made a burned copy of that CD, put it on so I could get my Sony Walkman and listen to it on the bus.
I love that he had a Sony Walkman.
Yeah,
Dude, I had one too.
It was red.
They're fucking
the
awesome.
C player was red and had 3 blue dots on the top.
Oh, dude.
He had a red
before.
one. You
I had-
leveled
I
up.
had
Mine was
the-
like gray.
Oh, yeah, mine was gray. I was
I got it.
extra poor.
Well, hold on. I got it. That
You
was
didn't
like
get
my,
the limited edition version.
that was my big Christmas gift one year because I had a cassette Walkman. That was like forever. You know, that was how I listened to the music that I listened to because it had a radio on it. And then when I was 4th grade, so probably 7?
I don't know
8
how
years
old we
old. I
are.
don't remember.
Yeah.
Got my first acoustic guitar, and the Simon and Garfunkel. Like that's kind of like that's what got me into music. And then we were all watching TV. The whole family was. I think we were watching Survivor. That's when Survivor was like
Really big. Yeah.
And there was a toilet paper commercial. I remember it very clearly. I wish it was uploaded on YouTube because it was a really cool commercial. And throughout the entire commercial, it has these guitar players with their electric guitars and acoustic guitars, and they're all playing "Smoke on the Water." You know, the intro riff. Some of them are really, really good. Some are really bad. Like they're just going from guitar player to guitar player. And the guitar player at the end of the commercial takes a bunch of toilet paper and puts it around his room to like soundproof it. And he just starts ripping on "Smoke on the Water," and then it goes into the actual Deep Purple song. I remember I looked at my dad and I was like, "Dad, what song is that?" He's like, "Oh man," he's like, "that song was hot as shit back in the 70s. That's Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple." So like I got my pudgy little 8-year-old ass up off the couch, threw my ice cream bowl down, got on Walmart.com and paid 99 cents to download Smoke on the Water. And that was like the catalyst of like, okay,
Holy shit.
I want to play rock and roll now.
Yeah.
I want to get
cool.
loud. And then I remember I worked all that next summer to buy a Squire Strat off of eBay for, I think I paid like $90 for it, which at the time for me was like all the money.
It's a lot of money, bro.
And then that was the catalyst of like, I want to play like loud, annoying music to piss my parents off.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
awesome.
I thought it was great. Mom and Dad weren't super happy about it.
But
But,
no,
you know.
that's cool as shit though, because I think a lot of us can relate to that. Even if you grew up in like a musical family
Mhm.
and you gravitated towards something out of their circle.
Well, another thing for me was the video games I played when I was a kid
You
had
just
the
mentioned
most
it the other day. Yeah.
banger soundtracks. Like the first Tony Hawk game.
Yep.
You fired it up.
We just mentioned
just
it.
mentioned
Yeah.
Yeah, Police
Yep.
Truck by Dead Kennedys comes on, and
Yep.
shit, that game came out in '99, I think.
Something
We were
like
talking about. I was talking about.
The last thing you want your like little 7-year-old listening to is Police Truck by the Dead Kennedys. But I was doing it anyways, coming home mashing Tony Hawk, and then
Oh yeah.
the MX ATV games always had killer music, and then Guitar Hero
Yep.
came on the scene,
Y-
and that's
Yep.
like I'll admit like that's how I discovered Metallica, because one was
Yep.
on Guitar Hero 3, and I
Yep.
was like,
What
I
is
love
this?
band.
Yep.
And then Metallica was like, you remember me in high school. Metallica was like
Oh, it was.
All of
yeah,
us, all three
we
of
were, I was
us.
gonna say we were
All
huge. I
oh
mean,
my
just,
God.
I mean, we had
obsessed.
every album T-shirt. You had some of the
Everything.
coolest Metallica shirts ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
But like that was every album on the iPod. When I finally got an iPod, and
Oh, yeah,
Metallica
dude.
was it. And then
Yep.
we started getting into the more heavier modern stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, Metallica.
I
was
remember
king.
like crossing over into. I remember the first time I heard The Devil Wears Prada,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby.
which was kind of like. Remember when like all the metalcore screamo bands, as
Mhm.
like people called them, had the like really bright fluorescent colored T-shirts? Like
Yep.
that was the trendy thing. I remember the first time I heard Prada, and I was like, I don't know if I love this or if I absolutely fucking hate it. You know,
That's
And
how
then
I was with
it was-
Memphis
it was-
Mayfire's first
Yeah.
EP or album.
I was like that with
Or
Prada.
not Memphis Mayfire,
because-
Miss May I, excuse me.
Dude's voice was like his screams could get old
Yeah.
in a hurry at first.
Yes, yeah.
But the
I
first
was-
time I heard Danger Wild Man, I was like,
This is
oh,
this fucks.
this
Yeah.
fucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, like- and then I found out they were Christian metalcore, and I was like,
Yeah.
and back then I didn't think that shit was cool. I was
That
like, well,
was-
that's not metal.
It was weird. It was odd.
It's
That
actually
was like
metal as
a-
fuck.
Yeah,
That was like a
Hail
niche. That was
Satan.
like a niche genre for a while. The like Christian metalcore bands
Yeah.
that were like really fucking good.
Yep.
Because that was around about the time I discovered August Burns Red,
Okay.
Christian
Yep.
metalcore.
which like you want to talk about one of the most like technical, badass riffs.
Ooh.
Like their drummer.
Dude, their drummer is
Matt-
unfucking
I
real.
think it's Matt Griner.
Yes.
That guy is
Yep. He's
freaking
unreal.
You
insane.
want to talk about putting on a great live show, buddy? Let me tell you.
I think I've seen him twice.
Yeah,
I've seen them
I
3
saw
times,
them
so-
with this bill was nuts. It was them, Miss May I, Fit for a King, and Crystal Lake.
Okay, I saw Fit for a King one time. Whew, it was awful.
I did
The
not
time
think
I saw them, they
that
were really
good.
good.
I did not think they were that good, except for,
But-
of course, the front man. He can
They
fucking
have turned
scream.
they've
but
turned
yeah,
into
other
straight
than
up
that-
radio core these days, bro.
Dude, that hold on. I went and saw August Burns Red, I think with Prada in '68. This was probably-
And 68 or in 68? You time traveling, bro?
and 68. They're all on the same bill.
Damn, you gotta hit me up. I'd like to go to Woodstock.
Yeah, Doc Brown's my best friend.
Yeah.
But I was in Cincinnati at Bogart's, and I was with
Love that.
my
venue.
friend John, and my friend Lexi was there with her boyfriend at the time, so we kind of like met up in the crowd and palling around. And I had been playing with Derailed for a while, and we had been playing down there an awful lot. So we're standing in the crowd, and one of the coolest things that ever happened to me, it's kind of lame, but it is pretty neat. These two, like, pudgy, long-haired, like, metalhead-looking kids walk up to me, and they're like, are you the guitar player for Derailed? And I was like, I laughed. So I was just like, what the fuck? And, like, they're looking at me like, they're excited that I'm here.
That's
And I was
cool
like,
shit.
oh, yeah, that's me. They're like, dude, you guys are fucking awesome. I'm like, oh, thanks. Like,
That's cool as
just
fuck,
got
man.
recognizing this giant crowd of people, and they walked off. And
You're hard to miss.
yeah, well, yeah. And then they walked off, and my friend John looked at me. He's like, did that just fucking happen? I was like, I think it did. That was so
That's
cool.
nuts.
I think I'm a rock star.
Yeah.
I guess I'm basically James Hetfield.
Yeah. it felt really cool because you could tell like they were just excited to like, oh my gosh, that's the guy though. Who's seen you at Thompson House like 5-6 times? I'm like, cool.
That's awesome.
Get a hold of me
man.
and buy pre-sale tickets, please.
And that probably like rejuvenated your desire to keep going and
Yeah.
keep. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
it's like holy shit, dude!
like
Like
there was
I'm getting this is working. People are
Yeah.
listening and coming to the shows.
They're coming
and-
back.
Yeah,
'Cause,
Yeah.
you know,
we have fans.
well, you get like the real drunk guy at the end of the night who tells you
Mhm.
like how much he enjoyed your set.
That is,
I
oh
love
my
those
god, it happens so
conversations.
often.
But in the back of my mind, I'm like, this guy's gonna wake up tomorrow. He ain't gonna remember shit.
Yep. Yep.
So when people come back, is like okay. I'm like okay, cool. This is
Yep.
we're
We're
got-
doing something.
We got some traction, and then you start seeing the same people consistently
Mm-hmm.
every single time you go. And for us, like we're almost 2 hours away from Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So the fact that we can be a complete out of towner and still kind of have some
That's
people show
awesome.
up and
That's
pay
awesome.
real money to come see us, that's cool. That's a good
That's
feeling.
cool
yeah,
as
it
shit,
is.
man.
Because getting that up off the ground that's some
Well,
tough-
and we
that's
And I, was
frankly-
gonna say, I know these guys can.
Finding that you are worth other people's time,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then they recognize you in a crowd.
Yeah. Well, like if you really like something, what's the first thing you do? Tell your friends about it.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, word of mouth is still the most powerful
Yeah.
driving
Tell your
force.
friends.
in
And when
marketing.
I find something I love, whether it's music or something, I gotta share the shit.
Mhm.
Like instantly, I gotta
That's,
share it.
dude, I hate people who are like, oh, don't talk about this band I just found. I'm like, that's not the point,
Gatekeeper,
man.
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah, I hate that
That's
stuff
is
so
that the
much.
definition of a gatekeeper then?
Pretty much.
Somewhat.
Pretty much, but
Yeah.
gatekeeping technically in music is like if you're our age and you think every band out today is just dog shit.
Okay.
Oh, it's not all that remains. It's not
Okay.
that kind of.
I got you.
I got some gripes with those fellas.
Oh man.
Hold on. So I remember Guitar Hero 2, their song 6,
Yep.
just.
It's awesome.
This Calling, like
Yep.
they
It
have
was beautiful.
great music, dude. I heard an All That Remains song on the radio like a year ago, and I was like,
It hurts you, didn't it?
I was
There-
like-
one of album they
I'm like,
it
did
went
they
bad.
break up and there's another All That Remains? So I got on Wikipedia and I'm like, what the fuck happened to this? Like, I'm all for, like, you want to do a different sounding record, go right ahead.
But then when we don't like
But
it,
there's
it's
a-
like, fuck this shit.
But there's a difference between, like, doing what they did and then going to the complete,
Yeah, it was
like,
weird.
cookie cutter,
Yep.
like,
We didn't like it either.
butt rock. I'm like,
Yep.
But, yeah,
This sucks.
radio core is what I call it. Yeah.
I don't even know if it was heavy enough to be considered that.
Yeah, it's just. But I mean, it's stadium rock
Yep.
is what it is.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
so
that sucked.
I guess Ryan, I'm curious as to because hell, even I don't know this. What was that kind of aha moment you had where you got into the heavier stuff? Whether it was Metallica, Slayer, Devil Wears Prada, like what was that aha moment where you went from the Deep Purple, the Black Sabbath to the heavier shit, whatever it might be?
It was Metallica.
Same for
Simon
us.
and Garfunkel made me want to play music. Metallica made me want to be in a band,
Okay.
which is kind of funny because I discovered Metallica in 06, 07, and I joined a band until 2015. I had a buddy who played drums, Travis Sollers.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, old
We
Travis, yeah.
used to jam in his dad's barn all the time.
Yep.
We-
I always
we were
forgot
never,
he
like-
played drums.
We were never like a full like established band or anything, but when I heard One by Metallica and I got to the
breakdown.
The fucking
just sounds
breakdown.
like just like a mean like motorcycle,
Yep.
fully automatic,
Yep.
just and it just like it tickled something inside of me. I'm like, okay, I want to go fast, I want to go loud,
Yep.
and then as I've gotten older, I'm like, I still want to be loud, but I kind of want to go slow now.
Yeah.
kind of like slow it down, like give me
Yep.
some groove because I have a gripe with like bands now, like some of like the deathcore and like the black metal stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like
Triples.
just
Yeah.
it's like where's the groove? Like I gotta
Yeah.
have
give
something,
me something that
something
I
to
can.
bob to,
Yep.
something to groove to.
Tyler's feeling that right
Mhm.
now. I can tell you that. Tyler loves a good groove.
Well,
because that's like
Because that's what makes you move, man. You feel that groove when you just got that shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's cool at first.
it's
Like
It's
it
cool,
feels
it
cool.
sounds cool. I don't feel anything though.
Yeah.
one of the YouTubers I follow pretty heavily and have for the last 5 or 6 years is Glenn Fricker, Spectre Sound Studios. He's based out of Canada. He's just real angry all the time, and I'm angry all the time, so I like him a lot. But he said something on one of his show or one of his episodes one day. He's like, "If you're heavy as fuck all the time, you're not heavy as fuck.
I love that.
Got to have some
Mm.
dynamics. Got to go up. Got to go down. That kind of stuff." And if you listen to One by Metallica,
Yep.
the first 4 minutes of the song are pretty.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's
Beautiful.
clean. It's glassy. And
They
then
wrote
even,
some of the best ballads of all
and then
fucking
even
time.
if the chorus hits,
Yep.
it's still pretty like
Yep.
the
Fade to
average.
Black is the same way.
Yeah, well, the average listeners would be like, "This is great," but then you get to the end of One, and it's like, "Oh shit, the
Yep.
gasoline's on the fire," and they just that big
Mhm.
build, or like even fucking Freebird.
It's a
Like,
big build.
Yeah.
It's a big build. There's that dynamic. If Leonard Skinner wrote.
There was like 3 solos at the end
Yeah.
happening at the same time.
Yes,
Yeah.
But if it was that solo for the whole 10 minutes, it's like, okay, I'm bored.
Yeah.
Right.
This just give me some variety, give me some.
But when
some
it
dynamics.
hits, it hits.
Mhm.
And Ryan, that goes back to what Tyler said on an earlier episode is that heavy is a feeling, not a sound.
Correct.
And that's
All
I bet you resonate with that heavy with the sludgy, slowed down
yeah.
stuff.
Well,
That
you say heavy's a feeling, not a sound. You listen to, I'm probably familiar with Coulter Wall.
I
Oh,
love
yeah.
Cold
Yeah,
Wall.
Yep.
dude, his performance of Kate McCannon when he's in the brewery.
It's
Just
just
him and the bass drum.
It's
He's
insane.
got a-
We've
he's
sat
got-
and watched
that-
that.
I
Zinc
couldn't tell
Bourbon
you how
so
many
many
times I've
times.
watched that video.
Yep.
dude.
That shit's heavy.
Dude,
You haven't
it-
seen
I have
that.
not seen that.
We need to
That's
show
heavy.
you that.
You need to watch. So,
Yeah.
I mean, he's just playing guitar, and he's got a
Kick
kick
drum,
pedal,
right?
a kick drum, and it's just him in a brewery playing this song. And he is one of the most talented acoustic guitar players I've ever seen. If you think Children's is good, you need to go watch
Yeah, that
this
was
video.
pretty
We'll,
sweet.
we'll show you when we're
It's
done
heavy.
recording because it's
heavy.
and that song
Yeah.
in general is so it's like an Edgar Allan Poe poem put into a song. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's
It sounds
cool.
interesting.
Oh,
It's
it's,
sweet.
It's a murder ballad about.
it is. It's a murder ballad. Catching his woman cheating,
Yeah.
and he kills them both.
Yep, shoots them both.
And he's
That's
talking
heavy.
about
That's metal as
that's
fuck.
metal
Yeah,
as- it's metal as fuck.
it's
It is.
heavy. It's
So
heavy as
he
shit.
starts the song about talking about how he's in prison, and then he explains why he's in prison. It's this whole story of how he meets her, how all this. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And the down, boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
I mean, it is such an
Sweet.
incredible
It's got that heavy
acoustic
like,
riff.
It's got that like
consistent
prison
beat.
riot
Because he's-
feel or
yeah.
something. Yeah,
Well,
He's
It's
talking about
sweet.
working in the mines, right?
Yeah.
And it's almost like you
reminds
can
Slinging
hear
a
it,
sledge. Yeah.
like slinging a,
Yeah.
a pick into
Yeah. Yep.
It reminds me of Johnny Cash's cover of "God's Gonna Cut You Down."
Mm-hmm.
the chains rattling and
Yep.
stuff. Incredible song.
Well,
It's
and then
sweet.
that tempo, that beat is the same as the middle part of the Metallica song. It's about Passover, Creeping Death.
Creeping Death.
Creeping Death. Holy
Dun,
shit. Yep.
That,
Yep.
that tempo,
Yep.
that tempo is like you want to fuck some shit.
Yes.
That's the tempo you need.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and that's when you go back, you listen to, I personally listen to a lot of country music like that, like Colder Wall, like Tyler Childers,
Yeah.
old Johnny Cash. There are so many, country gets a bad rap for what's on the radio today.
It
But if you
sucks.
know what to listen to,
There's that more underground stuff right now.
And
that's
it's
kinda
good.
Like creeping
It's
up.
good,
it
man.
is
It's
just,
damn
and
good.
the thing is,
Yep.
is people are finally catching on to it.
I never thought I'd be into it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
that's
Tyler
what I mean.
plays it. Tyler learned an entire Tyler Childers song and probably would have never learned or never
Yeah.
guessed that he would have.
And not to speak for Ryan, but it would make sense that because it has that raw, different, out of place
It's
feel
real.
that you would resonate
and
with.
it's real good country is closer to bluegrass than anything,
Yeah.
right?
Correct.
And
Yep.
I think, and like we were just said, it has that heavy feeling to it. The actual songwriting,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just about my truck broke down, my dog died, and
My girl cheated on
my
me.
girl left me, so now I'm drunk and I'm. So there,
Yeah.
it's not that. It's a murder ballad. It
Yeah.
is a
It's
song about being
the-
judged
my
by God.
girl cheated on me,
I'm gonna kill that bitch.
and I'm gonna kill that bitch.
Yes, and I'm gonna write
Straight
this
up.
song while I'm sitting in prison for it.
Yep.
I mean that's
Yep.
good shit. So that's a great point out of you.
I remember it happened to me like over the pandemic because I wasn't off work for 3 months, but I wasn't going to
Yeah.
to
Right,
my
with
job.
what you do, yeah.
Was working from home, and I really started listening to Coulter Wall was kind of like the introductory to it, and then because one of my friends Terry Gruber introduced me to Coulter
Mhm.
Wall. He actually invited me to see him at Toodles one night back in like 2016, and I was busy, so I didn't go. Come to find out, it was Coulter Wall and Tyler Childers on the same set.
Holy
I didn't
shit.
know that at the time, or else I probably would have made more of an effort to go.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I started listening to Coulter Wall a lot over COVID. I'm like, I really, really like this kind of subgenre of
Underground,
folk country
It's
kind
like
of shit.
folk country.
And of course, the YouTube is like, well, if you like this, you'll like this. If
Yeah.
you like that, it's kind of like evolved. And nowadays, man, like I listen to more of that kind of stuff than I do metal or anything.
Do you listen
That's
to Sturgill
crazy.
Simpson?
Oh, I fucking love Sturgill
Okay,
Simpson.
so that's
Yeah.
another good one that I can't remember if I've recommended him to Tyler or not, but Sturgill is that real old school bluegrass, picking on a telly, finger picking a
Well,
telly,
plays
like
like psychedelic sometimes.
yeah, it's just
Yep.
so cool. And full disclosure, if you go back and listen to some of Tyler Childers' songs, go down and look who wrote the songs. It says Tyler Childers, Sturgill Simpson. They
They're
wrote an
buddies.
entire album together. So if you like Childers, then Sturgill's your guy.
So I've only found a few songs by Tyler that I listen to.
Yeah.
I don't like all the stuff,
I
That's
dig
fair.
the shit out of his new record.
but I just
I would
I
listen
think
to
it's
it.
cool. I love it. I think
It's
cool as
almost
shit.
it's kind of gospel music.
I have
in a
such
way.
a hard time with country music, though, is the thing. And
I know
that's-
you do.
That's why, like you said, I never would have expected that I would have sat down and learned a country song. And then I heard that Tyler Childers song, Hard Times, and I was like, fuck.
That's a good one.
No,
Alright,
about-
I'll learn it.
Another one about-
Billy Strings is another one that I've
I've
been.
heard of that name.
He's a wicked ass guitar
Heard
player.
of that name.
Like that guy can fucking play.
Just nuts.
He can play anything really if he
Yeah.
wanted to. And he's even like, there's a cover of him doing Planet Caravan by Black Sabbath live.
Mm-hmm.
He did Nutshell a couple weeks ago. So like he's broad spectrum of music, but he is namely like a bluegrass player. And he's fast as fuck. He's fucking incredible.
That's why I like Chris Stapleton.
That
Yeah.
guy's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
man.
his national anthem he did at the Super Bowl.
Ooh.
It's the best one I've ever heard.
I was
Yeah.
I was
floored
like
me,
a
dude.
single beer in.
Yeah.
and I was standing there like jaw on the floor, like this
Yeah.
is the most like just intimate feeling.
Mhm.
Again, like it was almost heavy.
Yeah.
Just drew me into it. And I was like,
Have you listened to his
God.
bluegrass group, the Steel Drivers?
yeah, dude,
Yeah, man.
they're great.
Yes.
He was in a rock band too called the Johnson Brothers.
Yes.
And they're
Correct.
like,
No
well, I've always said that Chris Stapleton, like his voice and his singing style, is just yeehaw Chris Cornell.
It is.
Oh shit, that's a hot
Oh,
take.
that's
then,
perfect.
But then if you listen to the Johnson Brothers, like, yep, this is yeehaw audio slave.
That's
almost.
wild,
Yeah,
dude. Holy
That's
shit.
because he has that
that same voice.
raspy.
Yeah.
He's
Powerful.
that southern rock kind of vibe to it.
Mm.
Hell of a guitar player, hell of a songwriter. And if you go listen to any of his, excuse me, whether it's the country stuff or bluegrass stuff, every song tells a great story.
Mhm.
He's a great storyteller.
Hit that song starting over. He wrote with his wife. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, she
'Cause
helps.
She
us,
sings on it.
Yes,
Yeah,
she does.
pretty good.
She's
Huh.
really
It's
good.
funny, I
but
didn't-
she's not so good that it sounds fake.
Yeah,
Like she
yeah.
still has, some.
Because I know you guys have. I spent a lot of time with Mugs and Jugs here in
Mhm.
town,
Mhm.
and dude, there for a couple years, like the only Chris Stapleton you ever heard was
Tennessee
Tennessee
Whiskey.
Yeah.
Whiskey.
Oh my god. It
That
gets
would
so-
play,
Which is
and
a
the-
cover.
and the
Nobody
weird,
knows
the,
that, but-
The weird drunk couples would get up and dance
Yeah.
with each other.
The
You'd just be
weird
sitting
drunk
there like,
couples.
why the fuck am I here? So I kind of like resented Chris Stapleton for a little
Yeah.
while. I didn't really explore his catalog, and then again with getting more into country music, he just kept popping up with his other stuff. I'm
Yep.
like, shit,
It's
this guy
good,
fucking-
man.
This guy fucking
It's
rules.
good,
Yeah,
dude.
I was all about it.
Yep.
I feel so out of place in this conversation because I despise country.
I
You're
think
gonna- I'm gonna
Stapleton. I
force you
think
to
you would
learn
like
about
as well, man. He's something different about him.
You got to go about it the right way. I've had a lot of friends like who tell me like I hate country music, and I'm like, well, if I get you onto the right track, the right
Same
Start
thing as
somewhere.
a
We
Grey
talked-
Haven or
we
a
talked
Norma Jean for
about
me.
that maybe on the pod too. Just having that bridge that gets
It's
you
like a
gets
gateway
you in the
band or
door,
song.
and then
Yep.
you start appreciating some more here and there, and maybe I'll come around to it. But
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys were talking all these facts, and I'm just like, I have no idea what you're talking
I've
about.
got, I've got a couple
He
good
did,
ones.
he did a Super Bowl. Oh man, that's cool.
This
I got-
motherfucker ain't watched a football game in 12 years.
I got a couple good Chris Stapleton songs and Sturgill songs I could show you that are more rock feel that you would be like, man, I dig that chicken picking shit, and then some stuff by Cold Wall that'll just punch you right in your chest.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but anyways,
Bring
So-
it.
what are you listening to now, Ryan? Like if you pull up your playlist on your phone, like what
I will because I
you listen to so much shit you can't name them off the.
No, I have
same here.
ADHD real bad, and if I don't see it in front of me, it doesn't exist.
Thanks.
Same. I'm
I
glad
can
I'm not the
fucking
only one.
relate for once.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
pretty
god.
bad.
I thought I had a problem.
Oh,
the stuff I listen to, like it's really hard for me to go back and like pick an album out and just listen to it unless it's like one of my like all time favorites.
Mhm.
So like my recently added on my Apple Music is like what I listen to. Right now, been listening to Blizzard of Oz.
the
Because-
album.
Yeah, because the song "Suicide Solution" was in a TV show I was watching the other day. I was like, man, I don't want to listen to that album, so I've been listening to that.
Now that's Zach on that record, right?
That's Randy.
Is it
I
Randy?
think so.
What year is it?
Uh,
That'll tell us.
I could have swore that was Zach.
1980.
Yeah,
I would be
that's
Randy,
That's
yeah.
Randy.
That's Randy. Well,
I don't know why I
Crazy
thought
Train's
that
on that album, so yeah,
Yeah,
that's Randy
yeah.
for
Oh,
sure. I've been listening to the BoJack Horseman soundtrack because that's one of my favorite shows, and the music in that and that
Oh.
show is really cool. I mentioned Fleetwood Mac. There's a small artist called Like Lee, spelled Lykkeli, and her cover of Silver Springs is way fucking better than Fleetwood Mac's.
That's blasphemy, my guy.
Dude, I'll say it. It's-
Better than Stevie Nicks.
dude. It's pretty damn good.
He said hot take.
So I've kind of been
Damn, that's an early one, y'all.
I've kind of been stuck on that one for a while.
Okay.
There's one that I just popped up that I really want to talk about. They're called All Them Witches. They're
It's
from
putting me on
I'm
game.
listening. I've listened to a few of their songs because you told me about them.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell everybody about them because I fucking love this band.
Tell everybody.
But they're from Nashville, and they kind of like. I have a very eclectic music taste, and All Them Witches is like if I could dump all of my favorite bands in one band.
Okay.
Because like they're a rock band, but they've got some like chunky, more metal sounding riffs and stuff that happen. Sometimes they sound like Radiohead, which is one of my all time favorite bands.
Okay.
Sometimes they sound like The Doors. Sometimes they're a dirty stoner rock band. Sometimes they're just a straight blues band, and they'll have harmonicas and organs and keys and all sorts of stuff in there. Their guitar player Ben McLeod is like, just watching him play is mesmerizing because he's so goddamn good. And I saw them.
Ben McLeod.
I saw them last winter at Scully's up on High Street.
Mhm.
And the show was over, and he was up there, getting his pedal board all fixed up. And I walked up to him and I said, "Hey man," I was like, "Great show." I was like, "I got a question for you though." He's like, "What's up?" I'm like, "Does your back hurt?" He's like, "No." Why would you ask me that? I'm like, "Well, from carrying the entire band on your back." And he smiled. You could tell like it really hit him that someone paid him like some sort of like genuine compliment. He's like, "Dude, I've never gotten a compliment like that. Thank you." I'm like, you fucking deserve it."
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
All them witches, they're fucking.
The bass
All
player
them
ever heard
witches.
you and looked like the Cat in the Hat
Their bass players, they're all fucking great. He does he sings for them too. He plays one of the coolest bass guitars I've ever seen. It's definitely probably started life out as a Rickenbacker body style,
Mm-hmm.
but the top piece of it is cut off, so he like runs the strap down to the
I've
bottom part.
seen-
It's real.
Like the
wonky.
bottom horn?
The top horn is off.
Right, so he
It's
runs
like-
the strap to the bottom horn?
Yeah. I
Huh.
don't think the top horn was ever there.
Does he play real
Huh.
high? Is he?
Kind of. It's really, really fucking weird looking. It's just super
I've
cool.
seen,
They look like fucking
I've
Geddy
seen
Lee
one
in
of those
those.
before,
Yeah.
and they just look awkward.
The Rickenbackers are the ones with the cut off horn.
The ones with the cut off horn.
Yeah, they're not made by Rickenbacker. I don't know where he doesn't
forget
have like
where
a
I've
logo
seen
on the
it.
headstock, but everything about that band is great. They're just the tone, the way their albums are produced.
They do
They're,
a lot of
uh,
weird shit.
Their last full length record they put out in 2020, they did at Abbey Road Studios.
I've heard of that for some reason.
Abbey Road Studios.
I've heard of that.
I'm
I'm
sure.
sure-
You ever heard the Beatles album Abbey Road?
Oh, no fucking wonder.
That's where that was recorded.
Bourbon got me.
But they, of course, they did that album there, so it's just like the production on it. It's just,
Yeah.
it's incredible. But they've done a lot of their, even their more recent albums, they've done them by themselves. There's one they did called Dying Surfer, and it's kind of like a weird acoustic. It's more soft acoustic kind of style stuff. And they just rented a cabin in Tennessee for I think 2 weekends and recorded it there and just did it themselves. So like they said in an interview one time, they're like, well, sometimes we'll hire it out and sometimes we'll do it ourselves. It just depends on what we want it to be, what
Right.
we want it to become, which I think is really fucking cool, especially for them to have the level of success they have and still kind of want to stay in the DIY space because again, we talked about having that sound of doing it yourself.
Yep.
So
That's
they've
cool.
in the last probably 2 years probably my top dog really.
All
It's-
them
You,
witches.
That's
you
too-
told me about them a while ago.
Yeah. Yep.
Shout out all them witches.
That's-
I'm going to look into them.
That's 2 guests in a row that have recommended some weird shit. We had Treasures from
Yeah.
Derek
From
and
Derek. Yeah.
All Damn Witches from. That sounds like some redneck shit. Though.
It's not all them bitches.
It's all them bitches. I don't know nothing about all them bitches. so.
It was funny when I saw them at Scully's. The opening band that played with them was called LA Witch, and they're a full female like psychedelic rock band from California. Well, LA Witch, obviously. They were really really cool, and they got up there and they're like, "Oh, welcome you to the All Them Witches show. We are the bitches with the witches." I was like, "Oh, that's so cool."
That's clever.
They were badass. They
That was
were really
killer
good.
marketing on their part. So.
They were really because I kind of like some of that like more modern psychedelic kind of sounding shit. There's a local band from Dayton called Salvador Ross that kind of plays that like real psychedelic 60s 70s shit, and their guitar player Kyle Byram is just like, oh, he's gross. He's gross. He's so good.
He had the stink face.
Yeah, every
He
time.
had the stink face.
What, the Trump face? You remember that meme?
Yeah.
Trump making that face? Yeah.
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 Every time I go see them, they just play this greasy rock and roll psychedelic shit, and I really really dig that kind of
That's
stuff.
cool.
Of course,
That's
like I
cool.
said, Radiohead's one of my favorite bands.
See, this is
They're-
why
Yeah.
I thought you
wild.
were a great guest because your tastes and influences are so much different than which I mean the three of him and I are pretty similar, but Tyler's a lot different than the two of us as far as influences and what he likes, and you're even more different than that. So it's cool to have somebody on here that can go a different path because we want everybody that listens to feel like they have something in common with the show.
It's
so.
funny, like a lot of people that know me just know me as like the really loud metal guy, because Derailed is a really loud fucking metal band.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, dude. Like I listen to Dire Straits on the way here.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking love Dire
Yeah.
Straits.
I relate to that because for a long time, Screaming Evidence was the heaviest shit I listened to. I was like,
Yeah.
and a lot of that's just because Scotty was always pushing us to get heavier and heavier.
Yeah.
And though I would like listen to other stuff that was heavy, it wasn't really anything I listened to on a regular basis
Yeah.
that was at all as heavy as Screaming
That's
Evidence.
kind of what we did to Jake when he was in Derailed. Is he wasn't super into like really, really heavy stuff. That's not what we want. And playing with us, he got more and more into it as time went on, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure. No, it's funny. Tyler says that Screaming Evidence was the heaviest shit he listened to at the time, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, when I first heard of Screaming Evidence, they were the softest shit I listened to at that time.
Fucking hey, I thought they were soft too, and I joined the damn band.
Yeah. No, it's kind of funny.
I heard the mom song and it sold me this. So.
Yeah, I used to just be the, I guess I was a gatekeeper, if you will, because if it wasn't fucking, I grew up on thrash metal, like that was what,
fast and
and that was what I was into, and I was talking about on a previous episode, bands like Godsmack were some of the ones that I thought when I first heard them, I'm like, man, that's kind of soft, and the more I listened to it, the more I'm like, man, this shit is fucking awesome.
Have you ever seen Godsmack live?
I'll tell you a quick. I'll tell you a quick story.
They
Well,
fucking rule.
so
jam.
I
it's
don't
funny
listen
you
to
say
Godsmack
that.
on the regular, but if they come to town, I'm gonna go.
That's funny
Like,
you
I'm
say
gonna
that
go.
because my dad's best friend, they lived beside each other growing up, and when I was a kid and I was obsessed with Metallica, I don't know if he kept like telling this story to rub it in or what, but I swear every time I fucking seen him, he told me this story. He said he went and seen Metallica and Godsmack together. I can't remember who was before, but Godsmack had played the show, and then Metallica had headlined it, and he said Godsmack kicked the living hell out of Metallica
They
that
were
night.
fucking great.
Said they were fucking incredible.
I saw them at Rock on the Range one year, and they weren't on like my list of bands to see that year, but they were playing before another band that I wanted to see. So me and Caleb, I think, fuck it, we'll sit here and watch Godsmack, and like. I think they played 45 minutes or an hour, and it went so fast. And I looked at him after that, and I was like, "Dude, did you expect that to be that fucking good?" And he's like, "No," because they were
Wow.
I have never heard
killer.
of them putting on a bad show, man.
Yeah.
Like every time you hear somebody talk about them live, they are a force. And
Dude,
Sully is such a badass dude.
Another band that a lot of my friends have shit on over the years is Volbeat.
Mm-hmm.
Live, bro.
We loved Volbeat.
I loved Volbeat.
We loved Volbeat
Because they played right before Metallica that year, Rock on the Range in 2018 or 17.
Yeah.
It was real.
That sounds
fucking-
about when they were.
I thought it
blowing
was
up.
longer ago than that.
Yeah,
No, they
it
were
was-
blowing up when we were in high school.
It was real
Really?
rainy.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't know if I want to sit through a whole Volbeat set, but I definitely want to see Metallica. I was like, dude, these guys rule. I'm all right with this.
Yeah,
This
they
is
Oh,
really-
great.
yeah.
I have
really-
a buddy who despises Volbeat.
No,
They're
Like,
Yeah, their tone was insane.
It was,
and
man.
they were played on 99.7 The Blitz, and I'd be
Yep.
fucking mowing the yard, and I'd and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then I hear that Danish motherfucker ripping it. And that verse, those verses in that song that we were just making fun of, I can't think of for the life of me what it's called, but it's so bouncy and fast, and I'm losing my shit. I'm like, this is fucking like thrash metal, like this is my shit. So it got me, hearing them on the radio actually got me into them. They went hard, dude.
And they're one of the bands that like a lot of people hate, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
You put some Volbeat
It's probably
on,
due to your
I'm
roots,
happy.
you know.
I
It
just
kinda
cannot
is, yeah.
stand dude's vocals.
I like it.
I like 'em too,
I will
personally,
say,
not
I will
standard.
say, I liked it at first, probably because the instrumentation.
I like the
the
drama
music,
behind his
but-
voice. He's like animated. I don't know. It's interesting.
They're
Yeah.
like Danish Rammstein, but less techno-y.
Now I fucking hate
More
Rammstein.
thrashy. I've never
Yeah.
been into
Oh,
Rammstein at all.
I hate
Never been
Rammstein
into 'em.
so much.
Never
A Warrior's
been into
Call is the song I was
A
thinking of.
Warrior's Call,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Rammstein's just kind of. I mean, they had like 2 or 3 good songs, but that was actually I I think the very first song I learned how to play on guitar was a Rammstein song.
Oh yeah.
It was I don't think it was Du Hast. It was the other one.
Do you remember how to play it still?
No.
Good.
No,
So,
I don't.
so
Super
Ryan,
simple.
Ryan, I'll ask you a question, and I don't want to change the subject too much because I thoroughly enjoy this conversation that we're having. But for any local artists that are out there, and frankly, this is a market that we haven't got into. What did you and Derailed do to get into the Cincinnati scene or a Columbus metal scene? Because it's something frankly, we need to do.
It's tough. It's really hard. Because again, if you're going to be an out of towner, and
Yep.
you guys being from Courthouse, if you
We're
go
an
to
out-of-towner
Cincinnati,
anywhere.
or Columbus, you're out of towner everywhere you go.
Yep.
And here in town, if you're not playing Wagon Wheel and Tennessee Whiskey
Yep.
cover band, you're not playing the gig at the bars, you know.
Yep.
So for us, when the Warehouse was still around, that's how I met Derailed in the first place. So they used to play there all the time because they were like the local high school band, and like all their friends with the Warehouse, so like they were the Warehouse band, you know. But they
Which
were
I
like just
never
these
went there once.
motivated high school kids that love playing music, and they started out as a Weezer and Green Day cover band because when you're in high school, like that shit's
That's
fun
it.
to do, you know. And they played one night. It was the first time I saw them with Caleb, and I was like, dude, this kid's fucking like he's got a hell of a great voice. I really like this. They started playing original music. And after they got done, Caleb walked up to me. He said, "Hey, do you think you could get us in here to record just some real quick, dirty demos through the PA system?" I was like, "Well, our PA system here isn't that advanced, but I was like, I have enough recording equipment. Like, we can get something together for you." And then the second day I came in to do recording stuff with them, their guitar player quit. Well, they had a show at the Warehouse that following Friday. So Caleb was like, "Well, you play guitar. Can you just like learn our set and play with us on Friday to fill in?" I'm like, "Sure." And I was 21 at the time, and I think Caleb was 15 or 16. Like they were young, like young. I was just a weird old guy. I'm like, you know what? It'll be fun. Like I haven't played on stage in front of people for a long ass time. So then after we played that one show, he's like, "Do you just want to like do this?" I'm like, "Fuck it, sure. Why not? You know, I've never played in a band, like an actual band, you know, that stuff." So like we would play at the Warehouse a lot. And then one night there was a band playing there, and my friend Cody Baxter was there. And
Holy shit!
yeah,
Cody was the drummer for
Avanti.
Avanti.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is how we met.
I added him on Facebook, and I think that's why I remember the name. Cool as shit.
He was there with one of their original guitar players, Delilah, and we played that night, and they just thought we were really.
We met her as well. Yep. Okay.
They just thought we were really fun and liked our set and stuff. So probably 2-3 months later, he messaged our Facebook page and said, "Hey, we have to bail on this show down here in Cincinnati. Do you guys want to come play it for us? We'll just, you know, I'll get you in on the show." And we were like, perfect. Like we've never played out of town. This was, you know, a good way to bust in. And it ended up being a major flop because it was at the Mad Frog.
No. Well, you guys had
boy.
played there before I was with the band, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
So good times.
yeah, so it was me. It was me, and of course Nick and Caleb and our original drummer Dennis. And like I'm the responsible 21-year-old adult taking the kiddies down to Cincinnati on a school night to play a show, you know. And there was nobody there. We did play with a band called Brain Clinic that wanted to be Tool so bad, but they were actually kind of good at it. Like,
okay.
So like we kind of like rubbed elbows with those guys, and then I remember getting home from that show and I messaged Cody and I'm like, "Hey man, like anytime you want to come to Cincinnati or have us down to Cincinnati, we're down. Come play the Warehouse whenever Avanti wants to. You know, you scratch my back, we'll scratch yours." So then we just all became really good friends with Avanti, teamed up on a lot of different shows and stuff. We did a couple like little tours with them. So they were kind of like our edge into the Cincinnati scene. And then right before COVID, we were having some traction up in Columbus because somehow we got on a show at Craft and Vinyl, which was in one of the more like ritzy areas of Columbus. Shit.
I remember what that place.
Yeah, it was like a record store. They had a small little bar, and they'd have live music. And the guy that ran it, his name was Troy Stacy. Really, really cool guy. Kind of looked like Guy Fieri almost. So we got up there and started playing a lot at Craft and Vinyl, and he fucking like dug the shit out of us. We got up there, and at this point, like we're now a 3-piece. I'm on drums, and like we're rowdy. Like if it's a small, tiny venue area like this, we're gonna.
What the fuck's up, Denny?
That's exactly what we're gonna do.
Hell yeah!
So we got done that first time we played Craft and Vinyl, and Troy like ran up to the stage and was like, "You motherfuckers come with me." And I'm like, "Oh fuck," because we just like the bands that played before us that night were kind of like more just like generic kind of rock, you know, pretty easy going. We got up there and just burnt the place down. Caleb, he's got a wireless system, so he was getting up on the tables.
Oh,
and,
he's just going wild.
jumping off of shit.
Hell
and Nick's
yeah.
up there going wild, and I've got my giant long Yeti hair and just making all sorts of hellacious noise. Walks up to us, he's like, "You three, fucking come with me right the fuck now." I'm like, "Great, this guy's fucking pissed." Like, so we got a noise complaint, like we broke something, spilled beer on something. Like here goes our fucking, good connect in Columbus. And Craft and Vinyl was kind of cool. The bar was connected to like a little like studio room. He had like acoustic treatment in there, and he would like, that's where he would record his band and mix and stuff. And he gets in there and he closes the door and he's like, "I don't know what the fuck I just watched, but I absolutely fucking love this shit." And while like the relief, I was like, "Oh, thank God we didn't piss this guy off." And he stood there and basically sucked our dicks for 15 minutes.
Oh man, that's
and he
awesome.
ended up
Free of charge?
yeah. I got a couple PBRs out of it. And he ended up hooking us up. We got some of our songs on rotation on the Blitz for a while, which was pretty cool. And it was so unfortunate. We were in talks with somebody from 102.5 and Promo West Productions that does all the bigger shows up there. To have us come on and like open up at like one of the bigger like national touring acts. They're like, "Hey, we love you guys. Troy vouched for you. Come and do this." And like we were in talks, and then fucking COVID like just shut that down.
Holy shit!
And like I think that person, like the contact I had, I don't think they have a different job now probably, because like I got a hold of them like halfway through the pandemic. I'm like, "Hey, just keeping some verbiage going on." I just never got it, so I just assumed they probably got another job.
Yeah.
Which happened to a lot of people that were in that realm.
Yeah, I mean, it killed the industry.
So that sucked, but you win some, you lose some. That's kind of part of being in a band.
So it was more band relationship than it was a promoter relationship then?
That's what all of it is.
Okay.
Because at least the Cincinnati kind of runs this way. If a band wants a night at a venue, they'll get a hold of somebody who will book it and be the promoter for that show.
Okay.
And then they'll basically say, like, bring on who you want. That was a lot of it. So
Okay.
rubbing elbows with other bands in the scene and becoming friends and hanging out and stuff was the best way to, get shows. And I spent a lot of time going down to Cincinnati just to attend shows that
It's
my
a good
friends were
time down
playing.
there.
It was always fun. I'd always see people and stuff, and like keeps your face around, and people remember you. And like, if you're not a turd, like, hey, we need some people to open the show for us. Come down and play. So that was really, really big for us. I've had little to zero luck reaching out to like venues and promoters and saying, "Hey, can we play a show around this date?" In fact, I have sent 2 emails to 2 different venues in the whole time I've been in bands trying to get a show. That's it. Because it never worked out, and we just kept getting show offers from our friends or other venues or promoters that we got recommended by, or they saw us one time, so it just kind of like organically happened for us. So I just quit like trying to reach out for shows, because it just spent a lot of time like typing up emails and putting YouTube links and that kind of stuff, and I was just like, you know what, we'll just let them come to us. And it worked for a good long while. Of course, again, COVID kind of screwed that up, because a lot of those venues,
We've mentioned it 3 times lately that COVID killed it for us too. Killed it for us.
I sat down and I'm like, I haven't really done much with the band in a while.
We had planned out a whole part 1, part 2 album, and just getting part 1 finished recording.
Oh, it was so hard.
We had started it, then COVID hit, shut the studio down.
Yeah.
Had to wait for the studio to come back up. Then we were able to get back in the studio to finish it. And then we really couldn't get a show lined up to, quote unquote, release it. You know,
Yeah, 'cause
be
you
our
wanna, like, market
release
with some-
party.
Yeah, you want to
Yep.
push it a bit.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
got to play a
we've been
couple of shows, and then both shows were kind of a joke.
there.
And
Yup.
because there was like no one going out, and
That's the thing.
it's like,
Even,
what the fuck, dude?
even the shows that we have played back post COVID they've been okay. They've been
Mhm.
pretty good, but nothing like
What it was before.
the momentum we had before.
Mhm.
And just getting people to come out and do shit is kind of tough. And nowadays it's like, hey, you want to drive an hour to come see my band when gas is $4 a gallon? Like,
Yep,
Yep.
that's hard. You know,
it's extremely
Um,
hard.
I don't think people value live music near as much as they used to. Just even before COVID, it's always just kind of been like a small thing that some group of people enjoy. But
People don't value live sports as much anymore either.
No,
So
they
it's,
don't.
it's
No,
not
yeah.
just the music industry that's been affected by that.
I can watch live sports on my
Mhm.
65-inch
And
4K
see everything
TV.
and not- yeah.
The beer is cheap. I can if you're streaming it, you can pause it and go.
I can
go take a
scream at
piss.
home.
Yeah.
Dude, I
At
don't
the
go to the
TV.
fucking movie theater anymore because every movie that comes out on streaming 2-3 weeks later.
Yeah,
Right.
So I can rent it for $10.
Yeah.
I can pause it, eat my own food. Like, why would I go to the movie?
I will
theater?
say that music is different in that
It is. That's 100%.
the experience of live music is just so much different than listening to it on a record.
I ended up paying and watching 2 different live stream concerts during COVID. One of them was the Foo Fighters, which was really cool, and the other one was a doom metal band from Virginia called Windhand, female fronted, super fucking awesome, and like they were fun, they were cool, but at the same time I'm like, this also feels a little lame.
Sure.
yeah.
Because I did my best to make it like as close to being there, because I've got a real nice surround sound system. So like I had the volume cranked up, lights turned down, and I have the lights that like sync with your TV, so the colors were all the same and whatnot. But I was just like, this isn't as good. Watching movies at home like that makes way more sense than live music, because it just wasn't there,
Right.
And I think
Especially-
the Norma Jean show, it reinvigorated us wanting to get to live shows.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember the car ride home. We were talking about, man, we've got to get back to going to more shows because that one
it
just
was unreal.
completely injected that feeling of, I forgot how fucking awesome this was. I haven't been to a
Yeah.
concert in 3 years or 4 years, whatever, and it kind of brought that new life back into you.
Last November, me, Caleb, and Nick went and saw Every Time I Die.
Okay.
Oh, I
in
love that band.
Columbus.
Yep.
And of course, they broke up like 2 weeks after that. They're not
Right.
a band anymore. But I remember on the ride home, we were like, "Fuck, we got to keep doing this." Like, it was just like that little.
As a musician, it gives you that
inspiration.
extra. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I do that with the Foo Fighters documentary, Back and Forth, because they talk about like Dave Grohl talks about like early Nirvana in those days, and then how the Foo Fighters came to be and whatnot.
hmm
And it's just real inspiring for me. So like if I'm ever like feeling down musically, I'll just watch that documentary, and it kind of like
hmm
gives me a little boost in the ass that I need to like get back out there and like get some stuff done and practice.
Right.
Because I'm kind of bad about that. So yeah, especially drums, man. I hate practicing drums by myself.
Scotty's the same way.
I gotta
Same exact way.
have the rest of the band with
Yep.
me. Even if I like play our songs on some in-ear monitors or just jam along with some of my favorite stuff, I just don't like it.
Yeah, I get in this mode where I want to. Of course, I can create at home all that I want, but like if I don't have a band with me, I can make a riff up all day long. But it's like I need the band to give me something. I need to know where to go with
Well,
it.
what works at home isn't gonna work in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Not always.
Mm-hmm.
Like Caleb's come to us with some really really cool riffs, and like we'll start jamming on it. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe we'll table that for now, and some of
Right.
it comes back and some of it doesn't. We've even had like we're real big on like writing songs and playing them and Frankensteining them live before we really decide if we're going to keep it around. And there's been probably 3 or 4 songs that we've played live consistently a lot, and like even my friends are like, "Oh, I love that song." I'm like, "Yeah, we don't play it anymore." Like we're kind of it just didn't hit right.
Yeah.
It just didn't work. didn't tickle our fancy. But the feeling that we've always gotten when songs do hit really, really well and we want to keep them is just like, yes, that's staying. Like you almost know when you play it and how the crowd reacts and like how you played it and just how it felt. Like this is a keeper and we're going to keep going with this. And that's why I think that's why it's taken us so long to get another album put out, because the last album we put out was in 2017. Because we've probably written 2 records worth of songs, but a lot of them we've just kind of tabled and just never kept playing because they just didn't have the spark, I guess.
Right.
And there's one we've got right now that I'm particularly proud of. And I can't wait to release it. I almost just want to put it on out as a single and not tell Nick and Caleb, because I'm just
You just want it out there.
I just want it out there because it's really, really good. But I'll respect the the creative process of coming out with another album. But again, it's gotten harder with like Nick got married, so you've got that.
Life happens, man.
Caleb moved to Wilmington. Like I work full time. We got a lot of stuff going on, so managing that for us has been a bit of a challenge.
That has been extremely hard for us as of lately.
Yeah, that's part of it.
So I first heard Derailed, I believe, back on
Makes me nervous.
Reverb Nation.
I don't know if that was actually us.
I know I looked at one point I was looking for bands to set up shows with.
Yeah. I
came across you guys somehow, and I felt like it was Reverb Nation.
I myself.
But any artist that's been around for a bit,
Yeah.
you know what Reverb Nation was,
yes.
and it started off as something really cool, and then it got
died.
really lame.
I have never uploaded any of our stuff to Reverb Nation, so it might have been another Derailed, or it could have been something.
I don't know. I just remember I found you guys around that same time because we were
really
heavy
bad.
on Reverb Nation.
It was probably really bad. The first little demo we all did together was really bad.
I believe it had like I want to say it had like the tree on it or something.
Well, shit. Then then that is us. Maybe
Hanging
I bet,
tree.
You know what? I bet DistroKid pushed it to Reverb Nation.
I don't know. I just know I heard it, I found it, and I started reaching out to you guys to book some shows.
So I remember this conversation. This was a while ago.
Because I was
know
like,
why
you guys are pretty fucking close to what we do.
Yeah. So I remember why
wanna
this
do
this didn't work out was because at the time I was the only member in the band that was 21, was old enough to like be in.
I didn't realize the other guys were
so
that young though.
Yeah, because you asked me, you're like, how do you feel about, you 21 and up will be, the places we're going to be playing, and I'm like, well, that's kind of an issue because my band's not 21, so can't really help you with that.
Well, I remember when I was like 16 playing shows that were 21 and up,
So
and they let me in
to
play.
We were gun shy about it because like they were still in high school, so like they want to keep their parents as happy as they could be about the band because they want to keep playing in the band. And then eventually, like, we would just kind of like do it because most venues and promoters aren't going to ask the talent how old they are.
Yeah.
So we just kind of like was never mentioned, never brought up.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah, nobody ever cared either. It had never ever been a problem. But early on, it was still like, probably shouldn't do this yet because at that time, like, their parents didn't really know me all that well. So like, gonna trust this guy to load him up in his minivan and take him to show, like, but
It's like the movie The Rocker. You guys ever watch that?
I haven't seen it.
No.
Oh my goodness! Homework. All you motherfuckers are going to go home and watch The Rocker,
Fucking homework.
or this podcast is over. I'm telling you, it's a requirement.
all right. Well, I mean, homework's not really rock and roll, bud. So
Yep.
fuck you.
Fuck, that's now I feel like an asshole. All right.
It's all right.
But so I've kind of followed you guys somewhat from afar. I really never got any details about what was going on. So it's been cool to listen to you talk about, where you guys went with it and kind of the traction you were able to build, because speaking from experience, it's not hard. It's not easy to build any kind of momentum being from fucking Washington
It
Courthouse.
sucks. And I love it when I talk to people from around here and they're like, "Are you playing any shows?" And I'm like, we got a show up, down in Newport, Kentucky, and Cincinnati or Columbus or whatever." And they're like, "Why don't you play in town?" And I'm like,
We get the same
Yeah.
thing.
and I'm like, okay, so I can make it happen because I've got some decent connections with so many of the bars and people around town. And I'm like, we're gonna start, and that place is gonna clear out in 4 minutes.
See, the crazy
Like-
thing about it is, back when Jay's was up and running, and Matt, the owner, did not want to let us play.
Yep.
I came to him several times and
I had the
asked
same
him to let us
conversation with
play.
him. Yep.
And it wasn't until there was a few of our fans that he knew really well, and they were like, "Why the fuck aren't you letting Screaming Evidence play here?" And he was like, I guess he kind of him-hawed around it. And they were like, "You need to fucking get him here because you're going to make more money than you know what to fucking do with." And we set up, he hit me up, we set up a show there, and we packed that fucking place.
Yeah.
I know. I was there at that show.
Yeah, it was busy
And
night.
what sucked about it is it sounds like shit in that
Oh,
place.
it was so bad.
horrible.
Well, not only
But we-
does it sound like shit in there, but the sound guy sucked too. So
Well, he
Dude.
was only able
Oh
to do
man, I
so
can talk
much
about
with
shitty
it
sound
being.
guys for an
Yeah,
hour.
he was limited
I've
because
had
of
some
the,
humdingers. bud.
everything going
Yeah.
on.
So, after that, he literally, after we played, brought me over to the bar, opened up his book for the dates, and was like, "Pick what you want, dude."
Yeah.
And it's crazy because you guys are so similar to us and sound, but no one wants to fucking give us a chance
No.
until their hand is somewhat forced,
Yep.
and then they're like, "Oh
So-
fuck, there is
I
there
made
is money
money.
to be had here."
Yeah, so
I made money.
We played at Poor Boys twice
Mhm.
when Poor Boys was around.
that place fucking slapped.
Oh, so I miss it.
Yeah,
so
it was
much.
such
God,
a
that
cool,
place
such a
slaps.
cool ass
It's a cool
environment.
spot,
If,
bro.
if that place
Yeah.
still existed, I wouldn't walk into another bar in town ever
Yep.
again.
No.
Yep.
They had their own brewery in there, man.
It
That
was
shit was
great.
good. I don't mean to get off the
you're
tracks
good.
there, but don't mean to derail this conversation.
Dude, how many times I've heard a joke like that.
It's a very punny name.
It's good, right?
Yeah.
Good
we,
on you
we
guys.
played Poor Boys twice, and the first time we did it, we were kind of gun shy about doing it inside because we're loud, like,
Right.
And that place was pretty small, and it was summertime, and I asked Cliff, and I'm like, "Can we just do it outside?" Because they had the little patio seating
Mhm.
area. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, it'd be perfect. We're outside. We're not bothering people inside who are having family dinner and whatnot. People can bring their beer and their food outside to the patio. We'll just set up out like right on at the end of it, and we'll just play outside of the patio. And he was like, "All right, dude, it was great." Because what was really nice about Poor Boys is it was all ages too.
Yeah.
Right.
Because like a lot of Nick and Caleb's friends are still underage. I think they were 20, both 21 at the time, and so they could still come to the show and order food. So like Cliff was making money on them coming and eating full meals, and like my friends showed up, and all my friends like to drink, so and, like we drink, so it worked out really well. And then we did play inside one time when they did the grand opening of the brewery.
Okay.
And that place was like shoulder to shoulder packed, and he had booked another band, and I can't remember what they were called. They were really, really good, and we played inside that night, and it went really, really well too. So we had a spot like that was going to be
Right.
a good place for us to play, because we kind of, as much as we love doing the warehouse stuff, like it's a youth center.
Right.
You're limited on
Mhm.
some of the stuff you can do and say and whatnot, especially with lyrics and whatnot. And then Poor Boys closed down, and I was like, oh well, there goes that.
There's another
So
kick in the dick.
yeah, pretty much. And
Yeah.
there's just
Yeah, you can't exactly tell a bunch of 10-year-olds to open the fucking pit.
well, they did.
I mean, I'm sure they
did
would.
our,
Open the freaking pit.
our CD release show. Kid broke his nose.
Hell yeah,
'cause
that's
they
metal
were
as
there
fuck.
moshing and going nuts. Like it was kind of funny. Like the bulk of our fan base around town was kids from the warehouse, but they loved it. And like I don't think they knew that they liked heavy metal or any of the bands that we booked there. I just think when you're younger and like dudes in bands showed up and like they're all wearing all black and carrying their instruments, like they don't know they're just some lame brain that works at McDonald's in Dayton. Like they don't care.
Yeah.
They just want to have a good time. And I remember booking like these super serious metal bands, and they'd come and be like, "This is the best place we've ever played. We love this." It was really, really cool.
That's
I
awesome.
remember being there watching shows when
Yeah.
I was younger.
It was a really, really cool.
It was a
thing.
cool scene.
It was
man.
it
really
was some of
was.
the
Never
first
went
shows
there.
I got
Never went there.
to experience.
And then that died, obviously. So that's
Right.
that's gone.
Yeah, that
So,
was. I mean, that was the only real metal scene we had around here, and it was cool to be able to grow up with that. But now
Yeah.
this new generation, you know, like my younger brother is 17, and all his friends, like none of them listen to rock or metal.
Yeah.
All they listen to is country or rap. None of them listen to
it's
rock, metal, nothing.
It's rough around
And
here.
it's like, man, when we were in this is the same fucking school. When we were in school, most of the school was a bunch of fucking metalheads, and the crowd
There's a
core
lot.
was. I mean,
Oh yeah.
there were so many Black Veil Bride fans. Like it was
Yeah.
all super
Yeah.
emo, super metal. That crabcore scene was huge, and now it is nothing like that. And I think the warehouse going away has a decent amount to do with that, because that was the spot
That was the
to
honeycomb
go
for it.
and
Yeah.
and check out these local bands that were introducing, like you said, kids that probably don't even know that they're metalheads, and giving them that aha moment, that hallelujah
Yeah.
moment of holy shit, I'm a fucking metalhead.
That was that's the warehouse was the reason that I learned how to run sound, because I went there one night for a show. I was a sophomore at high school, and the sound guy they had set up for the night just didn't show.
Oh,
And,
shit.
The director or one of the volunteers there came to me and was like, do you know how to run the soundboard? And I was like, sort of. And he's like, well, you're better than nobody, so go figure it out.
We found a new sound
Okay.
guy, Tyler.
You're hired.
I was like, all right, and then I just pretty much did it from then on, and that's how I
That's
got
wild.
into
Now,
doing
correct
my
me if I'm
sound.
wrong, but have you ran sound for like the school plays and shit too?
I did one.
Did you
Let's
do
see.
Sleepy Hollow?
No, in high school I helped Danny Lowe run lights.
That's what it was.
Spots.
It was lights. Yep.
And then now that I work there, I did 1 year. I did one, and then some things changed, and I ended up doing the other ones. But I've done the sound for the musicals at Westfall, because one of my friends is the choir director there,
Okay.
and she'll bring me in and hire me in to do it there. And like that's easy running sound, like just
Yeah.
lavalier packs, unmute, mute, like that stuff's easy. As far as like running sound for bands, I've only ever really done it at the warehouse, and then some of the shows and stuff we did with Avanti, I've run sound for them here
Okay.
and there. But other than that, I just record stuff at home and do that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
which has been really
right.
fun.
Oh yeah.
Which has really, really helped out Derailed, because it's like, well, if we want to record and put something out, we'll just do it ourselves.
Right.
Because again, we have that, like, we know what we want it to sound like, and we can achieve that exact sound we want at my house. So why pay someone else to do it when we're getting the results that we need and
Yeah.
want?
So, Ryan, we've addressed this topic with Tyler and Preston on Screaming Evidence, and I want to address it with you and your groups. So when you think about both bands that you're in, kind of lay out what you feel is next for those groups. Like
That was
what?
going to be my question.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
As far
Tyler.
as like,
Yeah.
as far as like, I experienced. This is how I found you. This is what I've seen from afar. I'm curious as to what's next, because I've obviously wanted to set
Good
up
question.
a show with Derailed
Yeah.
for a minute.
So like, Derailed, dude, one of the things I'm thankful for, because I've seen a lot of local bands come and go and
Yeah.
get in fights, and the guitar player bang the drummer's girlfriend. Like, just, we have been a pretty much like,
You never hear about the bass player fucking anyone's girlfriend.
no one wants to fuck up
No.
these
Nobody wants to
I
fuck
live that
with
life, man. It's a hard life.
We've been so drama free and easygoing. And one of the things I've always not really bragged about, but the one thing we've always been really good at is we'll like not practice for a good long while, and then a show or something will come up, and we'll practice like one time for like 30 minutes, and like we're still locked in, like we still got it. We've played together a long time, like we know what we're gonna do, when we're gonna do it, and how we're gonna do it. So right now, like for Derailed, just I really, really want to record some of the stuff we've been working on here recently and get it pushed out and have a release show.
So very similar to us.
Yeah,
The
like,
spot we're in.
and I
right
want
now.
to do a release show like in Courthouse
Okay.
here in town. One of the things that sucks about that is Avanti's not around anymore, and
Yeah.
they were on our release show that we did back in 2017, and we've been on all their release shows since then. Just kind of like, so we were friends, we're homies. That's what we
Yeah.
did. They're not around, so that kind of sucks. But we want to do it here in town and figure that out somewhere. As far as Akashic Haze goes, I told you this earlier when I got here. I had a plan with those two other guys, Zach and Trevor, that we always wanted to play music together. You know, we've known each other for years. We're all sludgy doom metalhead guys. So we had this plan, like we were going to jam, you know, around January of last year. Well, that September I broke my collarbone. I wasn't allowed to play drums for like 4 months. So I sent them all a message. I'm like, hey, if you guys still want to do this, it's going to be 4 months on my end. I know Trevor's already got music written that he wants to get out and recorded and whatnot. So if you want to find a different drummer, I won't be mad about it. Like, we haven't even gotten in the same room, so like I can't be mad about a band that like I was never a part of.
Right.
And then they last summer, as time went on, they were kind of wanted to part ways with that drummer. So Zach called me one night and said, hey, do you want to play drums for Akashic Haze? And I was like, well, yeah, it was kind of my plan initially, but you know, you break a collarbone as a drummer, like you're down
out.
you're down for the count. Yeah, that really sucked. But as far as that band, man, like I just we've been wanting to re-record the songs that we have down and written and ready to go that they did record with the original drummer that, for lack of a better term, he didn't really do a good job. It doesn't sound good, and I hate people.
Call a spade, man.
Yeah, well, like, people will ask me about that band. I'm like, well, yeah, it's on Spotify, but like, don't judge us by those recordings because they're not very good. You get the idea.
Yeah.
Some of it is actually pretty good, but again, want to go back over and do with the actual lineup that it is now,
Right.
and get that. Sure. Take the
Strength time.
I'm not picky.
Strength time.
So that's kind of what's next for those two at least.
Sure.
And I don't know if we'll ever go back. At least Derailed. I don't know if we'll ever go back to playing shows as hard and heavy as we used to. I think we're kind of, for a while, we'd play anything that got offered to us.
Sure.
Didn't matter if it was on a Tuesday, 2 hours away in West Virginia, we were going to play.
Gotta go play.
Yep.
Yep.
And I think now we're a little bit more on the quality over quantity.
That's very similar to where we're at this point.
But I always tell bands that start out, there was a band that started, we kind of birthed from our musical vagina. They're called Courthouse Prejudice. And they literally started a band because they saw
They're called what?
They used to be called Courthouse Prejudice. They're not around anymore. It was a dumb name. I never told them that. But they were all young, dumb.
God, that's giving us a bad name.
They were all like 14, 15 years old. And the only reason they started playing music together was because they were at our CD release show.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid that I mentioned broke his nose was their bass player.
Okay.
So like we kind of birthed them from us. And I remember telling them,
From our musical
I told them, I was like,
That's metal as fuck.
I was like, when you start and you got your set down, you can play 30 minutes, get all the way through it. I was like, take every fucking show that gets offered to you.
Mhm.
Every single one. I said, one, it'll get your name around town, you'll rub elbows with other people, and you'll get that experience of showing up, setting your gear up, and getting neat and organized. Because I've seen so many.
That's a
tell.
big piece of it.
Well, you can
It's
you can tell
huge.
some local bands will show
Yep.
up and they're like a deer in headlights. And
Yep.
they're not organized. They don't know what the hell's going on. Takes them forever to get on and off stage. One of the best compliments I ever got, we played last summer at Legends
Oh yeah.
down in Cheviot,
Yep.
and the sound guy came up to me afterwards, and we played second to last. It was like the perfect time. It was actually a really, really good show. He came up to me after the show and said, "You guys were the quickest band I've ever had. Get on stage, get set up, get sound checked,
That's
and go."
awesome.
He's like, "I've never
That
seen
means
another
a
band
ton.
do it like that." And I was like, "You
Yep.
know what, man? As much as I'd love you compliment our music, I will take that. 'Cause that balls into the professional professionalism stuff.
Yes, it
'Cause
does.
if your band shows up and you're all drunk and you're disorganized and you take
Or you have an electronic drum set, and
Yes.
you take an hour to set up, and you're all 75 years old.
Can you,
Episode 2.
can you plug in? Can we get a direct box for our backtracks? Like,
fuck, man. If you're lugging a laptop on stage, you're not fucking playing rock and roll, bud.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Get out of here with that. But that it falls into like if you show up, you play, you get on and off.
Mm-hmm.
Venues remember that. Promoters remember that. Other
Mhm.
the band that plays before
sometimes
you.
you
and
get more
after you.
time.
The crowd.
Yeah, it
remembers
allows you
that.
more time.
Sometimes it gives you just
Yeah.
enough time to play one more song.
Yep. And we Derailed. We're the masters of like just drawing shit out, just because we're all about the drama of it.
Oh
So,
yeah.
like, one of our songs, we play it normally. It's probably 5-6 minutes, but if we want to play that last, we'll add like a tag on the end of it, and we'll just keep driving the same riff. And Caleb will do some solos, and we'll just burn the house down. So like we like to do that kind of shit. So when the sound guy's like, you still got another 10 minutes or 5 minutes extra or whatever, we're like,
Mhm.
cool, not a problem. We'll drag it out.
Improv.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, and that's again, we've been playing together for a long time, and we can just kind of get in the room and start riffing on shit and just go.
I think we can relate in so many different ways, man, because that's the same. We won't practice for a month because of life getting in the way.
I'm telling
We
you,
won't
man.
get
like,
together, and it's
Pick right back
I've
up
been
where
wanting to
we
set
left
Pick it
something
up.
up with
Yep.
them for a while.
We can do it, man.
And
This is a good time to do it because
this is a great time to do
We're
it.
pretty dormant. Summertime's coming up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's the big one.
And that's what we tend to do in the wintertime. We hibernate as a band. Like, we'll get in here, of course, and we'll play, especially because we got an HVAC unit set up in here now.
You're welcome.
But, we'll get together, but we don't, it's like, we don't actively look for shows during the wintertime. Very
Yeah.
rarely.
Man, you're talking about having HVAC. For probably a good month or two, the warehouse where we used to practice
Mm-hmm.
didn't have AC.
Mhm.
Oh God, I'm sure that
Dude,
place baked.
One day, it's a big metal.
It's a black
Yeah.
metal
Yeah.
barn.
Yeah. I got
It's
in
a
there.
fucking tobacco barn. Is what it is.
I got in there
Speaking
one
of
day, and like I didn't even set my drums up. And then Caleb and Nick showed up, and I was like, "Boys, we can't play in here today." It was just too damn hot. And they're like, "Well, what do you want to do?" I'm like, "Let's go back to my house and drink, bud." Because we're
That's metal as fuck.
You said it before I could.
like that's kind of always been our thing. Like we're not like, yeah, if you're gonna pay us to come play a show, fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But like if we get to show up and have some cheap beer and play music,
Yeah.
we're down.
Do what
Yeah.
you love to do.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times. There was one time in particular, I got off work. We had practice scheduled. Well, Nick had something come up. He's like, "Hey, I can't practice." I was taking a nap, so I was dead to the world. Caleb shows up. I'm still passed out on my couch. He kind of wakes me up, and I look at him. And he's standing there with his guitar case in his hand, and he sits down, takes a deep breath, and he says, "I don't want to fucking do this today." He had driven all the way from Wilmington, and I was like, "Well, I don't either." He's like, "Cool. You want to go to Muggs and get a pizza?" I was like, "Yep,
Fuck yeah.
yeah, let's
Fuck
go."
yeah.
Yep. And
Hell yeah.
I think having that in your band is just as important as having a consistent practice all the time.
Yeah, man.
Because
You want to fucking like each other, right? I
yeah.
mean,
Well, I
that's
was telling him earlier, we spend time together and hang out, but not a lot.
sure.
We kind of keep our distance, not on purpose, not because we don't like each other, but I have seen bands spend way too much time with each other,
Mhm.
and that's their whole friend circle.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing goes wrong because you're spending too much time, or somebody looked at somebody's girlfriend the wrong way, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's all gone to shit. All that time and money and effort that you spent, all the gas you spent, is just
Mm-hmm.
thrown away. So we like to kind of keep our distance. And Radiohead is like that. Radiohead hasn't had a single lineup change in the 20 years they've been a band because they don't hang out. Like when they're not practicing or touring, they're not around each other. It's not that they don't like each other. Just when it's not Radiohead time, it's see you later.
Everything
I'm
else,
gonna go be
yeah.
with my family or do whatever. And I think that's healthy.
I would
Is this
disagree
the,
to an
Is this the
extent.
rye?
This is the rye.
I knew it was so good.
It is so good. I would somewhat disagree, and here's why. With Sean and Scotty, there was a time when that is all I hung out with. The guys in the band
Yeah.
were who I hung out with all the time. And now that we've gotten older and we have kind of separated to some extent, It's to the point nowadays where about the only times I get to see Scotty or Sean is when it's for practice,
Yeah.
and like I miss my boys.
You know,
You know what I mean?
you are right.
Because Preston here, I work with Preston.
you see him every day.
I'm gonna see him all the time. I talk to him all the time. Plus, he lives a few blocks away, and he's always coming over here to jam. And
I got a
shit.
5-month-old at home, boys.
No, I don't blame you on that.
Yeah. So other than recently him having a baby or football season, he's always over here.
I lose myself.
So I hang out with Preston all the time.
I'm with this guy in football season.
I miss hanging out with Sean and Scotty.
Yeah.
I guess Derailed, we've kind of evolved into that now, which I'm cool with. But when they were still in high school, of course, they had nothing else going. So
Right.
the band was their number one thing. And, like, at that point, had dropped out of college and was working at the fucking outlet mall. So, like, I had nothing special going on in my life. I had a girlfriend, but that obviously didn't pan out, so.
I have a wife that didn't pan out.
Yeah,
Oh,
I have
shit.
a girlfriend now, but different broad.
Different broad.
And, but I remember like there was
There goes our 3% female audience.
That's metal as fuck.
I like it, but we did spend a lot of time early on, especially me and Caleb. We kind of really developed like a really really close relationship, and like I said, they were. He was young, and there was some 30 racks of PVR and other things that were split amongst us. His mom was cool with it, so
Dude, Scotty, guess how old Scotty is in comparison to me?
I know he's younger.
No,
Is he older?
The drummer?
Scotty, our drummer.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got my shit backwards.
Yeah,
So Sean is 2 years older than me.
Okay. So your drummer's older than you are?
Our drummer is 12 years older than I am.
Damn. Well, yeah. I mean,
He just turned
He
42.
was
right?
28.
Sounds
He was
about right.
He was as old as I am right now when I was 16, first starting to play with them.
Yeah.
And yeah, the beer was on tap.
yeah, I don't know how much of that I want to admit, but like, yeah, oh yeah.
So
I
I
think their
was
statute of limitations is over. on
Scotty
that.
corrupted
yeah,
you.
yeah.
no, Scotty didn't corrupt me. I corrupted Scotty into illegally providing me alcohol.
There you go.
But
I remember. So again, this some of the stuff maybe not best to talk about, but whatever. We were playing a show one time at I think the Thompson House down in Newport. Cool spot. It was upstairs, and Caleb looks at me. He's like, "Man, I really want a beer." And I was like, "Dude, this place is crusty. You're in a band. You look as old as I do. You got the beer." I was like, "Just go up and order one. Like, you know what you want. Just go up and order it." So he just walked up. Like, just give me a PBR or whatever. Bartender, here you go. And like you could just he turned around, you could just see the smile on his face. He's like, "Oh my god, that worked!" Yes, all
We've
right.
all fucking
Yeah.
been there.
Hell yeah.
But like that was the thing. Like early on with the party and stuff, it was always kind of like we'll do this, but like
you're the responsible adult.
keep it on the
so-
down low. There's a limit. Like at some point I'm kind of responsible for
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. And I don't want to make it sound like I was Mr. Band Dad, but like
Right.
They were going to do it either way.
Yeah, and like
It's
I cared
better that
about
they
it.
done it in your supervision.
Yeah, well, and a lot
in
of
the
it,
setting that they did.
well, a lot of it was his mom didn't care.
Right.
She
Yeah.
would drink with us. So I'm like, well, really, like I'm not even like
Yeah.
this is fine. This is perfectly legal, So whatever. Those were fun times. And of course now like it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
Right.
I remember it was kind of like Ryan Tarbutton's the old guy playing with high school kids, but I don't know. They were fun to be around and play good music. So I stuck with it.
Right.
'Cause-
Well, it sounds like you got a lot of cool shit coming up with the bands, and hopefully, something you guys can take some of
We're
this
gonna get
offline
together.
and get something worked out. So, hopefully that can happen.
Oh, I'm excited for it.
yeah, it's
So-
been great.
Well,
Long time coming.
Ryan, I know you've listened to the show, So you're aware of the segment we call Heavy Metal Hot Takes.
Yeah,
And-
this could go on
and-
for a bit, man. I'll tell
Yes,
you.
it could.
You said, now again, we don't ever tell each other our hot takes. It's always organic, and we hear it for the first time on the show, and we always let the guest go first. You're the second guest, so I guess it's the second time we're doing this. But Ryan, what is your heavy metal hot take?
That was a terrible drum.
You're the drummer, not me.
I'm pretty sure you guys mentioned this band. I think on episode 2.
He's gonna
And I
piss me
think you
off.
and I have talked about them, and I think I've told you this before, but probably don't remember because we might have been a little intoxicated when we talked about it.
Probably.
I fucking hate Coheed and Cambria.
Ooh.
We
can't-
actually have not talked about
really
that.
okay. I thought
Bro, you look like their front man.
the amount of times I have heard that, and I'm just like,
Why do
That's
you?
why you hate them.
I mean, I don't.
it's not that. I hated that band before I looked like that. Alright? I just like the music's kind of cool. But fuck, I hate that guy's voice.
Okay.
You hate sleeping with sirens
Yeah.
then too.
Yeah, you probably hate Kelly
sleeping
Quinn.
with-
You hate
Yeah.
sleeping, yep.
Oh my god.
I'm with you on both of those bands. However, there have been a few times that they popped up on shuffle where whatever it was, whatever song it was, hit me in a certain way, and I was like, okay, for whatever reason, I can get over the vocals for this particular song. I'm digging this.
Dude, if I hear cornbread and cornucopia come on my shuffle, I gotta go take a shower. Because it makes me feel dirty. God,
That's gross.
I can't do it.
Bro,
Get that shit off my
full
fucking speaker.
full disclosure, I only know the one song, their most famous one.
I never got into them other than the,
It's
the,
badass
the rock
for the
band
first
song.
15 seconds.
Yeah.
And then that curly-headed fuck opens his mouth ruins it. If I could get their music, like their music instrumental,
Instrumental, yeah.
I'd probably dig it. But God, I can't
Yeah, man.
get behind it.
That-
Never have.
I always struggled with the bands where the vocalist sounded like a chick,
Yeah.
and
But wasn't a chick.
but wasn't a chick.
I fucking hate hair metal.
Me too.
Derek
I
Muncie
fucking-
hates hair metal.
I am not a fan.
Yep.
These
Never-
guys talk about it a little bit.
Motherfucker, we were
but-
just sitting in here the other night playing Dockin' riffs. Suck my dick, you hate hair.
That's what I started on just because of my dad. But once I discovered some music of my own, I guess I could say, I realized that I really didn't like the music.
No, like I don't dig Motley Crue at all.
No.
I never
I'm
got
not
into
crazy
Bon
about
Jovi.
Motley.
Even Van Halen.
Yeah, that's not really hair
Like-
metal, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
But
Because
it kind of was.
David
I
Lee
was
Roth,
never crazy
voice.
about Van Halen either. Yeah.
I like him as a guitar player.
Right.
By himself.
Right.
You want to talk about somebody's back hurting from carrying the band?
Mhm.
Yeah. But
Yep.
Who the fuck would they be
the rest
if
of Van Halen?
Yeah.
Even like I don't know if you really call Kiss hair metal, but I was never a big Kiss fan.
shock rock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Except
Alice
their,
Cooper. Yeah.
Except their song War Machine.
Ooh, off of
I
the
don't know.
Revenge
That
album,
is a
or not
badass
Revenge album?
riff.
That's off the Creatures of the Night album.
And like I think I just like that song and that riff because it sounds like Sabbath.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it kind of just is a Sabbath song a bit.
You bring up Kiss. It's so funny. Ace Frehley's the sole reason I picked up a guitar.
Well, Caleb, same way, he loves Kiss.
Ace Frehley was the reason I picked up a guitar, and I was obsessed with Kiss from the time I was probably 6 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved Kiss. My dad had, I remember listening to the Destroyer album on vinyl. My dad had a record player and had the 74, 75 was the year that album came out. Had it on vinyl, and I would just put that shit on repeat.
The first, you bring up vinyl, the first album I ever listened to on vinyl was the live Elton John record with that, the live version of Benny and the Jets you hear on the radio all the time.
mhm.
That was the first song I ever heard on vinyl in Travis Soller's grandma's basement. Because his grandma and grandpa had this really, really cool basement. It had a bunch of like ceramic pig decorations in it. But it was a really, really cool finished basement from like probably the 70s or 60s. It was just really, really cool. So he took me down there. He's like, my grandma has these cool discs. And you put them on this thing and put this thing on it. And it plays music. And I was like, the fuck are you talking about, bud? So he took me down there and played Benny and the Jets on this piece of plastic. And we're like, this is the coolest thing we've ever seen. And I remember from that point on, I got home and I was like, Dad, Mom, like, Travis showed me this thing and you put this plastic thing on it and it plays music. So like, oh, those are called vinyl records. Like, nobody wants those anymore. It's all about CDs. And I'm like, well, I kind of want one. And then I remember when I got like in high school and started buying records, like vinyl records and shit, they thought I was nuts. They're like, why?
Now it's a big fad.
Yeah, it's a big fad.
It's huge. I've kind of gotten a little away from it there for a while. Like that was probably my number one way to listen.
It was your
to
whole
music.
ass personality.
Not really. I know some people. I know
Didn't
some
take it
people
that
like
far.
that. Yeah.
I'm an audiophile, man.
Yeah, I've been down that rabbit hole. But I got a Bang stereo system, so like I don't care. All right, I've dropped some money in on that thing, but you know.
Yeah, so on your hot take, I can't say that I disagree with you because I just never got into them. I heard the one song, and
Yeah.
it's a jam, but dude's voice sucks, and
Just can't do it.
I don't know that I necessarily hate him, but I just don't care for him. I guess.
I kind of hate Primus too.
I hate
Primus
Primus.
sucks.
I hate Primus.
Bro, their best
But
song
they
is the
have a
South Park
cult-
theme song.
They have a cult following, man. Primus has
It's
that cult
weird.
following, yeah.
They're just not.
Yeah.
That's
Their
not
fans
that
are-
was never my cup of tea. That
Their
kind
fans
of.
are fucking weird too.
Oh yeah.
Also, like Grateful
I
Dead
want to
fans.
have their fans showing up to my garage now, trying to burn it down for what we just said.
That's fine. Fuck
That's
'em.
fine. That means they're listening to the
Hey,
show.
Fine for you.
There's
but like, all my
thousands of
stuff's out
dollars in
here.
this motherfucker.
There's another one. I just had this conversation a while ago with Caleb actually. The whole Slipknot wearing the masks thing,
hmm
kind of fucking cheesy.
Ooh.
I was never.
Ooh, he just
I'll-
brought in a double hot take.
I love Slipknot, man. I love their music.
Scotty's car just pulled up. He's
I-
ready to beat
yeah,
your ass.
Scotty-
I don't think that was cheesy. I think shit like, what is it, Guar?
Oh God,
Yeah.
the whole ass
That-
costume.
That kind of
Bam
stuff
Margera
is
shit.
really bad.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
so
I thought what Slipknot did was, I mean, it was a gimmick. That's all it was. But I thought it was kind of cool. Because you didn't
yeah.
see their faces.
I don't give a shit.
And so most of
Take the
like
mask off, bud.
rock, music in general, when bands get big and famous, you see the
All their
faces
image change
everywhere.
and all that stuff. But
And then those people can't go anywhere without having paparazzi and shit like on their nuts.
Mhm.
And I think it was
I think it's cheesy.
interesting having
you want to
having
be
the masks.
you want to be a
on
rock
there.
star, you're gonna have that.
Did you think Kiss
Yeah.
was cheesy before they took the makeup off?
I didn't know they ever took it off. To be honest.
Yeah.
I just
In the
well,
80s?
their music never interested me.
That's
either.
fair.
Yeah.
And like they were also kind of from that era where like that was kind of what those bands did anyways. So it was kind of on brand.
Yeah.
But Slipknot was a little bit more obviously a master.
Yeah.
I remember watching the music video for Duality when I was a little kid. Like this is fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Like I was scared watching it. I don't know. It just the
Dude,
longer
and it
I
was-
listened to them, the more
With
I
Slipknot,
imagine
they were considered so heavy in this screamo at the time, but like even then, or maybe shortly after, there were so many bands that I listened to that I would consider heavier, and
Yeah.
and you know, I mean, I love Slipknot. I think we all do, but
they're one of the best bands I've ever seen.
yeah, they were. I seen them.
Yeah,
I think it was my senior
fun.
year of high school at Rockwell.
You
Range.
gave me my hot take, so thanks for that.
Oh,
What's that?
Slipknot is not new metal.
No, I don't.
They're not new because if you cannot put Slipknot in the same genre as fucking System of a Down,
or May
No.
or Mudvayne,
Mudvayne, or
When I think of new metal,
Korn.
I think more Korn,
Yes.
Limp Bizkit.
Disturbed.
I don't
Sorta.
think, I don't think
Sorta.
Disturbed
Not
at
even
all.
Sorta.
close.
I think Cold
I know I'm not
Chamber.
crazy about Disturbed.
I
either.
think Soulfly.
Okay,
I think 40
yeah.
Below Summer.
Yeah.
Not Slipknot.
I don't know that I put Seven Dust in there, but they're pretty
Probably.
close.
I
I
would.
was just kind of umbrella. Slipknot was just a metal band.
Yeah.
They're just a
They're
heavy
yeah.
metal band.
They're heavy metal.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
simple as that.
That's a good way to put it.
I mean, they had way too much unclean vocals to put them in and they had some thrashy shit. I'm like, that is not what people call new metal.
Yeah.
So, and they get classified as that by the masses, and I'm like, I just
I'd
don't
say
Is
agree
it
with
just
that.
because of time period?
No, I'd say it's more because of their sound.
Yeah.
Their sound was very similar, like guitars and bass, being real bass heavy and stuff, was very similar to the sound of these new metal bands. And I don't know, if you go back and listen to Korn's first album, Slipknot's not that far away from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially
Korn
Slipknot's
never
first
mind.
album.
I'm not even gonna go there because that'll just spark.
You hate
I
corn, and I
hate
fucking love corn.
I never really got
I
into it.
love-
I
Korn.
really didn't get into
When the
Korn.
fucking bass is louder than the guitar, I'm out.
Hey, fuck you, bro.
I'm just saying, I'm out.
I will say that when they do the final little breakdown of Freak on a Leash,
hmm
man, that makes me want to punch.
I
something.
seen that live.
Give me
I
a
seen that
fucking
live.
baby,
My
I'm
senior
punching
year.
First time I seen that, I was in 5th grade, and I lived with my dad, and he would drop me off at his cousin's house to get ready to go to school and shit. And he was a roofer, so we'd be up butt ass crack of dawn. He'd drop me off. It'd be like 5:30 in the morning. I had a key. I'd just go in, sit on the couch, and I would turn on the TV, and it would always be MTV on, and I would try to fall asleep to that. And it was like maybe 15 minutes of these weird commercials, the old like infomercials and stuff. And then one morning, this Freak on a Leash came on, and I was like,
Oh shit!
the fuck
What
is
the
this?
hell is this?
And here I am, a 5th grade kid, listening to this, and I'm like, oh, I didn't go back to sleep that morning. Like, I just didn't.
Yeah, the only Korn song that I really like is probably what I consider their heaviest one. It's Coming Undone. You can
I
actually
was
hear the
nowhere
fucking guitar.
near.
Blind is
Nowhere
heavy as fuck.
near.
Blind
it's
is-
not.
I remember being in the
Blind?
Blind.
Oh,
No,
like
it's
in
not.
middle school. I
Not
thought
not to
Blind
me.
was
It's not.
a badass song.
Blind's
It's
cool.
But it's all subjective, and
Yeah.
Korn is massively successful and loved. And I've seen them live. They put on a great live show. The best song they played that night was when they covered "One" by Metallica. But they're just not my cup of tea. I'm not taking anything away from their talent, but
I'm with
new
you.
metal's just not my genre, and that's why I love Slipknot, and I don't consider them a new metal band. Like I think we just
They're
said,
just metal. They're
just
heavy
a
metal band.
Yeah.
band.
That's
Yeah.
as simple as it could be.
Corn's
I don't
probably
know
top
why I would
3
put it.
live band I've ever seen.
Yeah, they're great.
When
live.
I seen them, and I know it was my senior year. Maybe I didn't know enough at
Are
the
we
time.
still in high school when this one?
But my senior year, I seen them. No, not when you did. My senior year, I seen them at Rock on the Range, and
Oh, that's right. You
they
said
kicked
that.
Alice in Chains'
Yeah.
ass. They kicked Papa Roach's ass. They kicked Bullet for My Valentine's ass.
What year did you guys graduate?
13.
You're a year behind me.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you graduated in 12, then?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're the same age.
Preston and I saw Korn at Riverbend.
Yeah, within this
Dude, I
moment,
fucking
Rob
hate
Zombie.
going to Riverbend. I hate that venue.
Oh, I'm not crazy about
If
it
you're
either.
not underneath the canopy,
Yep,
it
you're
sounds
screwed.
like shit.
You're screwed,
It's
yep.
just not fun. I saw Linkin Park and Incubus there.
That'd be
Ooh.
a hell of a
And,
show.
okay, so speaking of Linkin Park, I did actually want to talk about this. I was never a Linkin Park fan, but one of my best friends growing up was Travis Sollers, and he loved Linkin
Yeah,
Park.
I remember that. He was
That
obsessed
his,
with them. Yep.
his bread and butter for
Yep.
years. And we graduated, and that summer, he texted me. He said, "Hey, I've got tickets to see Linkin Park. I want you to come. I want you to see them so you can understand."
Mhm.
Because it's like, you're my best friend. Come see my favorite band.
Yeah.
Fine, I'll go. And Incubus opened. They were awful, which
Wow.
is weird.
Really?
So
Wow.
I've heard, now that I've talked to a couple people, Incubus apparently is either like on it and they're awesome live, or they're terrible.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Oh, it was grotesque.
Oh,
it was so
yeah.
bad.
And
Well,
we
we were
love
like,
Incubus.
We were looking at each other like, "But these guys are supposed to be good." So I saw Linkin Park back then. Like, it was a good show. It was enjoyable. Chester was always my favorite part of it. And then fast forward to, I think, 2015. It was my birthday weekend, and I went down to Cincinnati to spend the weekend with my girlfriend at the time. She was in nursing school, so I got to her apartment before she did. So I was just hanging out, drinking, dicking around with her cat, because her cat was a fucking asshole.
All cats are assholes, bro.
Yeah.
Shout out Lenny the cat. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
And she showed up, and I'm like, I'm already half lit. Like, I had a bottle of Bullet Rye and some Coca-Cola. I was having a great time. She's like, what do you want to do tonight? I'm like, just hang out and drink.
Play
and
with the cat.
and listen to music and dick around with the cat. She's like, well, it's your birthday. Like, we're going to go do something. I'm like, well, if you find something, like, I'm down to go. So she was on her phone looking at, like, Ticketmaster and different things. Well, Stone Temple Pilots was playing Bogarts. She's like, Bogarts is playing, or Stone Temple Pilots is playing Bogarts. You want to go? And I'm like, I fucking love Stone Temple Pilots. But I was like, wait a minute. I was like, who's singing for him? Because Scott Weiland wasn't singing or with Stone Temple Pilots at the time. She's like, I don't know. So I looked it up, and it was fucking Chester.
No shit.
Yeah, because he did a whole tour with Stone Temple
Wow.
Pilots.
Fuck, I didn't know that.
I was like, we got it.
When was this?
2015.
Okay.
I was
Wow.
like, we gotta go now. We have to go.
Yeah.
And I went to that, and it was fucking awesome. One of
Wow.
the best rock shows
I
I've ever
never
been to.
knew that.
Dude, you can find videos of it on YouTube, man. He killed it. Because he could do that Scott Weiland, raspy, soulful singing.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to, I think, what did he die in? Chester died in 2018
Was it 18?
or
I do not
17,
know.
around about that time.
Right around there.
While I was at work, and I was waiting on something to load, and I was scrolling Facebook, and I saw someone post Chester had died, and I was like, no fucking way. So I Googled it. Sure enough, it was true. So I called Travis.
Oh shit.
And like celebrity deaths have never like affected me a whole lot because I'm like, that sucks, but I'm
Right.
not one to get like physically upset about it, you know.
Yeah.
And I called him. And I was like, hey man, I don't know if you've been on the internet yet today, but Chester died. He's like, what? Like Chester Bennington from Linkin Park is dead. He killed himself. And like the phone was just like dead silent.
Mm.
And you could tell like this kid's feelings were like
It got him.
hurt.
Yeah.
And I was like, still there? Like, is the phone okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm still here. I'm like, just want to call and let you know. And he's like, damn, that sucks. I'm like, yeah, well, good to talk to you. See you later. Bye.
Oh, shit.
What a dick.
So that week, my buddy, you remember Zach Medeiros?
Yeah.
He was home on leave. He was stationed in Russia at the time. He was home
Okay.
on leave. He was staying with me. And Linkin Park was also like his favorite band.
Okay.
So I walk in, I'm just quiet, and I look at him, and he's like, this day kind of sucks. And I was like, you know what? Let's go get drunk. So we went to Mugs and Jugs. This is before like I even really started going there on the regular. We loaded the jukebox up with Linkin Park for like, we probably spent $100 in touch tunes and listened to Linkin Park all night. And I did it for him. And we sat and we drank and we ate food and had a good old time. And that's how we mourn Chester's death. But I always go back to being lucky enough. I actually saw Linkin Park twice, and then I saw Chester with Stone
STP,
Temple Pilots, which was fucking.
I
better
bet
than
that was
seeing-
cool as shit.
That was better than seeing Linkin Park in my book.
Wow.
Because I like that kind of. I like grunge a lot better than I ever liked anything Linkin Park did.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool as shit. I never knew that he toured
man,
with
it was
STP,
great.
so I'll have to check that out on
Yeah.
YouTube
'Cause
because I love STP, and I would love to hear Chester's spin on it. So
Yeah, it was really, really, really good.
Yeah.
Because I thought he did vocals for another band or another project at some point in time, and it was kind of like, almost kind of Velvet Revolver-y. I can't fucking remember what it was. It could have been somebody else too, but when you listen to him with Stone Temple Pilots, you're like, damn, this makes so much sense now.
Sure.
You know? Yeah.
oh yeah,
I can't picture it, man. I can't picture it, but then I'm eager to hear it though. Yeah, I want to look that up.
what's your hot take, bro?
So I hope this is a hot take. I don't know that it is, but I've also heard a lot of shit talk about these guys. And ironically enough, you've mentioned them a couple times this episode. And my hot take is that the Foo Fighters are one of the greatest rock bands of all time.
Okay, I wanted to talk about them. So I saw them.
And yes, I had that hot take before you had mentioned
Yeah.
Foo Fighters.
The last year Rock on the Range happened. Well, Sonic Temple happened, which was, what was that, 2018? Because then, no, it was 2019. Because then COVID happened.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
ruined it for the couple years. Foo Fighters headlined that Sunday. Like, I've always liked Foo Fighters. Like, they just make good rock and roll music. Like, you're almost hard pressed to find somebody like, oh, they suck. I hate the Foo Fighters.
But then
They're just a very
the reason I brought that up
really?
is because
I
exactly.
wasn't even going to talk about it.
Dude,
And not
you're
just
one of,
him.
like,
I love
probably
him.
three people I've met.
I can't stand him.
I
I love Dave Grohl as a human being.
I think he's the coolest human
He is
ever.
the coolest dude ever. So what his hot take is? Yes, they are one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time. can't stand them.
So
My opinion is completely in the minority. I don't ever
know.
like. I wasn't going to say
Yeah.
a word because I'm in such a minority. I just don't
So-
like their music.
hey,
See, but
either way,
that's where I didn't know if it was a hot take, but I was like, I've heard so many people talk shit about the Foo Fighters and say they suck, and I'm like, dude, there's a real deal.
yeah, so
No, I think they're great.
And I know
just don't
Tyler
like them.
loves them, but
I saw
Yeah,
them,
I love them.
I saw them that year, and like I knew I was gonna enjoy it because fucking Foo Fighters. Like,
yeah,
why would I not? You know, and man, to me, if you're gonna compare bands to baseball teams and their performances and whatnot, every other fucking band I've ever seen, any other fucking band out there, they're fucking Little League, and the Foo Fighters of the New York fucking Yankees.
wow.
They put on it's a rock show, it's a comedy show. You're gonna laugh, cry.
But that's
Just
funny you say that
nailed it.
because there was,
I got goosebumps talking about it. I walked out of there and I was like, that was
years ago,
fucking
I seen a
awesome.
random YouTube video as I was scrolling through. I think it was Facebook. You know how you'll get like just bands post their videos like
Oh,
of
yeah.
live
Oh, yeah.
performances every now and then, and it was a live performance. I do not know where, and it's is the song called "Best of You."
Were they in a giant stadium?
Giant stadium,
That's
And-
Wembley.
and this performance brought me to tears as I watched this fucking video.
So that
I swear to God.
that entire performance is on YouTube. It's at Wembley Stadium.
Okay.
They sold Wembley out. I think 2 nights in a row. They sold that stadium out. You can watch one of those nights, the entire performance on YouTube, and you can almost see it on like Taylor Hawkins' face and Dave's face, and all of them. They're just like, oh shit.
Yeah, they played "Best of
It is.
You," and I swear.
Oh,
I'm
so
having a
good.
brain fart, but is that the name of that song?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But they did like a interlude in the middle of that song, and Dave and Taylor are looking at each other, and they're looking around like, "What the fuck is happening right now?"
Yeah.
It
Well,
was crazy.
I think they start that show, and Dave comes out, and he's like, "How the fuck did this band get this big?"
Yeah.
Because if you watch the Foo Fighters documentary, which you absolutely should, it's called Back and Forth. Dave talks about their manager like, "Hey, you should play Wembley Stadium. Wembley Stadium's huge."
Mm-hmm.
And Dave was like nervous about because like you got to sell a certain amount of tickets and you got to fill it, and they sold the first night out in like hours, and then their management was like, "Well, let's add a second night." And Dave talks like he was nervous about it, like, can we even do that? And they completely sold the place out, packed it 2 nights in a row.
Wow.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, Wembley is where the original Live Aid concert happened.
Mm-hmm, it is.
And it's huge, massive, yeah, like
Huh.
Yeah, I guess my thing
It's
on Foo
cool
Fighters.
last moment.
I guess my thing on Foo Fighters is everything that everybody has just said is completely accurate. They're one of the most, if not the most, legendary rock and roll, just straight up rock and roll bands of all time. They write great rock and roll songs. Nothing about them is unique. Nothing stands out to me. It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
I will never ever take anything away from what they've done, and like I said, I love the members. You know, Taylor Hawkins, Dave Grohl. I mean, those guys are just elite human beings, and they write great rock songs.
I've
It's
always
just
said
when I hear them, I'm like, it does nothing for me.
Yeah.
The
And
way
that's just-
the way you feel about the Foo Fighters is
it's how you
essentially
feel about
the way
Metallica.
yeah, it's essentially the way I feel about
Yep.
man, that cuts
Metallica.
me so deep. That cuts me so deep. I love
Yeah,
it.
But it's so cool
But
how
the
we
thing
can all
about,
have these
but the thing that
conversations.
I'll push back on you is Metallica was unique. They were revolutionary. They were influential. Foo Fighters is none of those things. They're not.
I
They're
would
not
disagree with
revolutionary.
that.
How are they revolutionary?
They really kind of aren't, but
I can't.
They're just
say
so
that
good at what they
they've-
do.
They didn't invent a genre.
I can't say they invented a genre, but their songwriting is so fantastic.
Yep.
That's fine and that's great. I agree 100%.
dude, they have the best drummer in the world. They had the best
Had
drummer
the
in
best.
the world
Yeah, he was.
in a band with the
And
best
you know
drummer
what?
in the world.
His
Yeah,
fucking-
fuck.
You know what?
For real.
That can't
Yeah.
go bad.
You
I'm
know
sorry,
what?
but it can't go bad.
His fucking kid's just as good as he was.
Yeah.
That kid can jam.
Yep.
I will say I watched that
Wow.
whole memorial concert, and just to see it because
Yeah.
it sounds morbid, but like I remember when Mitch Lucker from Suicide Silence, I think is what it is, when he passed away. His memorial show where you had Danny Warsnop from Asking Alexander, you had all these great bands coming together.
Oh God.
Coming together and doing songs together.
Yeah.
like I said, it sounds morbid, but I love memorial concerts because you get to see so much talent come together and do different things, and that's why I was like,
were you at Rock on the Range the year Chris Cornell died?
no.
And they did the candlelight vigil.
Speaking of
No,
that,
I
think
can't
there
imagine
was-
what that
I
was
think
like.
there were 17,000 people there. You have 17,000 people in Crew Stadium that were dead fucking silent during all that. And Corey Taylor came out and he did a song. Fuck, I don't even really quite remember who else all was there, but it was powerful. It was really, really cool.
Yeah.
And I remember that morning that Soundgarden was supposed to play. Soundgarden? Yeah. I was so excited because like, hey, I could see Chris Cornell like live in the flesh.
Yeah.
My coworker called me and actually woke me up that morning. He's like, how bummed are you don't get to see Soundgarden tonight? And I was like,
What?
why not? Did they cancel? Like something happened? He's like, yeah, Chris Cornell's fucking dead, bro. I was like, are you serious? Oh, it sucked. That was, yeah.
yeah.
My dad showed me when I was a kid, and I don't know how old I was, but he somehow, when we played rock band, we would have like family and friend get-togethers and play rock band.
Dude, such a fun fucking
Oh,
game.
dude, that game is
Yeah.
what made me start playing guitar. But we would also have like family and friend get-togethers of live concerts on the TV because Dad had a giant stereo
Yeah.
system, and he had the Audio Slave concert in Cuba, I believe it was. And I remember watching that, and I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" That's when I knew that Chris Cornell was Chris Cornell. I'm
Top
like,
dog.
"Holy shit!"
Speaking kind of in the same realm, last summer I went and saw Rage Against the Machine
Uh huh.
because they did their like little reunion tour last summer. I went up to Cleveland for it. It was like on a whim. I got a good deal on a ticket, dude. You
I
talk
bet that
about
was
it.
fun.
It was the best show I've probably seen in like an arena setting
Mm-hmm.
like that. God, the Foo Fighters obviously are still probably gonna take number one spot.
Mm-hmm.
But even I wasn't real sure how well Rage's music would translate to that atmosphere because it always kind of seemed like a festival or like a smallish venue band. Nah, man, they killed it. And that was when Zachy De La Rocha had like hurt his ankle or whatever, so he played the entire show singing sitting down, which
Oh shit!
was kind of lame, but like he couldn't really have much of a choice. They were fucking killer. And Tom Morello has always been one of my like
Oh yeah, he's
idol
a
guitar
badass.
players that I've always really, really loved, and it was really, really neat to just hear the shit that he does live.
And if I'm not mistaken,
and it
he's
kinda
from
like-
Columbus or something, or
Uh,
he's from Morello's from Ohio,
It might be.
and I thought it
don't know
was
for sure.
Columbus.
What was cool to me is everybody puts him in the category of the guy that makes like the funny video game robot noises with the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, the guy can shred. Like he was
Yeah.
up there doing all sorts of shit, like not using the whammy and all the crazy effects. I'm like,
Yep.
didn't know
On
that
a
guy could
single
play
coil
like that.
telly, man.
He's from
Yeah.
New York,
Oh, yeah.
that guy.
Why did I think Columbus then?
He's a little too liberal to be from Ohio.
That whole
Yeah,
band,
that would
that
make
whole
sense.
band is too
Yeah,
liberal to be
yeah.
from Ohio.
Yeah, that would make sense.
They're political metal.
Wonder why I thought that.
I
Everybody's gonna call me a hypocrite.
Dave
when they
Grohl's
listen.
from Ohio.
yes.
I know Dave
Yep.
is. Yeah.
Yep. I didn't care much for Rage. Don't like Soundgarden. Did like Audio Slave though, which was weird. I just
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of
Bouncier?
weird. Yeah, they were a little
Bouncier?
bouncier for me.
Yeah.
I just there were if there's a band that I'm not super crazy about and there's one song that just annoys the shit out of me, I'm completely turned off to them. And the fucking song Spoon Man made me want to cut my own wrists.
I love that song.
I do too.
I
Man.
hated it.
I always
And it
thought
just-
Audio Slave and Soundgarden were the coolest band names in the world.
Yeah,
They're the coolest
those are
fucking band
both the
name
coolest band
ever.
names ever.
Yeah.
Audio Slave was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Because it's
awesome.
like their band. Audio.
Yeah.
Audio Slave. Yeah. I just, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good hot take out of you, Preston. I would like I said.
I'm glad it went where it did because
No,
I
it's-
thought it was going to be like, no, that's not a fucking hot take. But I've heard a lot of people talk shit about the Foo Fighters. I'm like, dude, they're fucking amazing.
Yeah, I won't talk shit about them. I just don't care for the music. They're great at what they do.
Makes a lot of
They're
sense.
legends.
Yeah.
Just not my cup of tea.
They,
I can appreciate a band and not like them at the
Yeah.
same time.
Mhm.
the older I've gotten, the more I like the Foo Fighters.
Fair enough.
Mhm.
Like when I was in high school, I'm like, yeah, they're good.
Mhm.
I was mostly into them because Dave was in Nirvana.
Right.
And I thought that was cool. But the older I've gotten, I think the more I've appreciated songwriting. I like the Foo Fighters more and more as time goes on.
That
I
genre,
I really like their story too, just as a whole. I think I'm more in love with that than I am.
Yeah.
that
anything
whole
else.
genre of music, when you're talking about Soundgarden, you're talking about the Foo Fighters, I think they're all just really, really good songwriters.
It was all about the song. That's
They're
all they
really
gave a
good
fuck about.
songwriters, great storytellers, and there's not a lot of that in a lot of these rock bands that are out today. Stained is another one. That was just great songwriters,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
those are getting few and far between to find anymore. So I always respect the greatness, even if I don't care for the music itself. So good job out of you, Tyler. It's your turn, bro. You always have the hottest or deepest take of the night. So take
Don't
us
make
into
me
oblivion,
cry.
my guy. Do you know what it is?
I have one, but it's not one that's going to make you cry.
Okay,
Mm.
that's fine. I don't feel like crying tonight.
So, Greyhaven is more talented than the majority of the metalcore artists that you guys send me. Hands down, more talented. Fuck them all.
I will 100,000,000% disagree with every word that just tumbled past your teeth and lips.
I'm so glad.
Please,
I haven't listened to him enough to have an opinion. So.
please, the majority.
I would have
Okay,
I would have
Hold on,
disagreed 3
hold on.
months ago.
give me some bands that we send you that you're referring to specifically.
I think their guitarists can shred up there with Polaris, like Moss to Flames, all these bands that you guys send me that are fucking killer.
Mhm.
I'm not taking credit away from them. But what I'm saying is because you know, some people may not like their style, some people may not like their sound. They will maybe discredit Greyhaven. But those dudes have amazing songwriting. Their guitarist shreds. Their drummer's no fucking joke. Their screamer is a bad motherfucker, or their vocalist is a bad
he's a
motherfucker.
frontman.
And he, look, his screams, I like his screams more than I like the typical metalcore.
Scream
I guess
just to scream.
the correct way, real deep kind of.
I like it when the screams sound shitty.
I like when the screams sound like there's some fucking emotion behind it.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, and this is just where your and I's music and Preston's kind of in the middle.
I would
guess.
say I'm in the middle.
This
Yeah.
is just kind of where you and I diverge a little bit, and that's perfectly fine. Jesse Cash would run fucking circles around their guitarist. Run fucking circles around him.
Jesse Cash.
Go
is
watch
a
Jesse
bad
Cash on
dude.
YouTube and tell me
He's
that
a bad
Greyhaven's
motherfucker,
better than
dude.
Jesse Cash. It's Era, by the way.
All right, so Era may be a different story because they do fucking
Some wild shit.
some wild shit,
He
which is
does
why
shit.
I said the majority.
That's fair.
Now, I wouldn't say dudes up there with like Periphery.
No.
I wouldn't say they're
So
up
you
there
think he's
with
up there with
Era.
Ryan from Polaris? Ryan
I
Seaver?
do.
I think
Okay.
he's up there.
So I've seen him live, obviously, and the dude fucking shreds.
He's all over the fretboard all the time.
He is super limited by the rest of the band.
You mentioned Periphery.
He
I fucking hate Periphery.
same.
Ah.
And then
Same.
Another one in that kind of same realm right now is Polyphia.
Yeah, they're the same thing.
I-
They're the
I'm
exact
out on
same band.
Polyphia.
I think Polyphia is the most like dick stroking nerdy.
Yeah.
I don't know where the clit is music.
I haven't
Like,
seen a pussy in my life.
Every
Yeah.
Polyphia fan I talk to, they're all like
They play
that.
Magic the
Yeah.
Gathering and
They're
shit.
Kind of, yeah. but they're just like, well, they're not, Polyphia is just very superior to everything else.
Yeah.
I think
They
it
are like
sounds
Prog metal.
terrible.
Yeah.
I think the guitars sound awful.
Yeah.
Everything about it. Like their drummer is tight as shit. He's the only
Yeah.
redeeming thing about that band. And
Yeah.
like Tim Henson's got, I don't know, he looks like I just want to choke him.
He's got
I
that
was-
face.
He
You
does,
just wanna
dude.
choke him.
I
He's
know
got
exactly
that
what
face
you
a little
mean.
bit. Like,
Hey,
I-
how I feel about Dayseeker's frontman. I want to beat the
Yeah.
fuck out
Rory?
of that
Like,
dude.
I
I,
wanna-
hate that son of
I
a
want to
bitch.
put
Pussy
Tim,
ass California.
I want to put
God.
Tim Henson and Lemmy Kilmister in a room and just
The
watch Lemmy
ghosts
just
of Lemmy Kilmister would beat the fuck.
kick the shit out of him. That just
Lemmy hit him over the head with a Rickenbacker.
Man, I don't want to go back to the original point, but Ryan, have you got into Greyhaven at all?
I have a friend who
Because I feel as if you would absolutely fucking love them.
Yeah, you would love Greyhaven.
Cody Baxter played me some Greyhaven last time he was up here recording.
Well,
some
Jasmine is
music
a
with me.
big fan
They
of
all are.
Greyhaven.
Is she?
I'm pretty sure.
They
Yeah.
all are.
Yes.
And, like,
She posted about him a long time ago.
it
Yeah.
didn't-
Huh.
It didn't tickle my fancy.
It took me about 2.5 years to get
Again,
into
he
it.
will
Really?
bend
Two
himself
and a half
over
fucking years.
It was
and
look,
let music rape him until he
Yep.
loves it.
we
Same
talked
as
about
Stockholm
it.
Syndrome,
We talked
bro.
about it before. Preston had to get into a certain Norma Jean album to be
Yep.
able to appreciate what Greyhaven was doing.
Yep.
Once he appreciated what they were doing, he actually listened to the music, and then he realized that Greyhaven was the shit, and
Yep.
they are the shit. And talent wise, I think they're more talented than the
A
majority
lot of
of
metalcore
metalcore bands out
I
there.
do agree.
A lot of the metalcore genre has gone over my head for many years.
It's just so cookie cutter now. It's
just-
kind of a
yeah.
fad, like we
I
talked
know.
about.
Like, I think actually, we've talked about this before because we all ran into each other at Mugs one night, and I had played Kill Switch Engage
I
song.
know exactly what night you're talking about.
Yeah, because we were like, he had.
Oh yeah, we
it had
were.
to be him.
We
That-
were together. We're like, we
Who's
know
that
it's
guy?
Ryan. It's Ryan.
right over there.
It was my curse.
It was.
You guys looking over me. My fingers are moving. I look at you guys. Your fingers are moving.
Yep.
We got talking.
had a
We
about
all got
it.
the bob and the stank face going. We're like,
We had a moment.
I walked up and I was like, "This is metalcore.
Yes.
That-
This is
It's
what
true
it is."
metalcore.
Yeah.
That is true
This is
metalcore.
it's a Mount
Yep.
Rushmore metalcore band.
Oh,
Yep.
I
And
remember.
nowadays, and that's why I coined the term radio core. I Prevail, Beartooth, Ice Nine Kills. There's so many
Memphis
of my.
Mayfire now.
I've said it so many
It's bad.
times. There are
It's so
so many
bad.
of these
It
bands
is.
that
It's
they all
horrible.
write the same fucking songs over
Amity
again.
Affliction.
It's 578, 578. That's all it is. It's the same fucking riffs. It's
It's
just
the,
a different structure. It's all the same. So that's where I appreciate a band like Greyhaven that is different
Unique.
and has their own thing.
Yeah.
Like Norma Jean, I mean, we keep beating the dead horse of these same bands, but it's because they're unique and they're good at what they do, and there's just so many of these radio core bands that I'm like, I've heard this song 15 million fucking times, man.
Mhm.
Yep.
I want something different, and that's why. I love bands like Era that it's so Spirit Box. There's so many of these bands that do shit differently. And
I would argue that Era's screamer screams to scream. He has no emotion behind his scream whatsoever.
Yeah, he's doing that like
Ah!
correct scream kind of. Look, I don't know.
That's the only part about Era
it's
that I
it's
do
the
not
same
like.
scream I hear in every other
Yeah.
metalcore band, and I'm just like, that's cool and all, but
It's-
I don't feel anything from that.
There's no dynamics to it.
Mhm.
It's the
Right.
same
No, there's
screen
not.
every
It's-
single
It's
time.
it's the
He
same
is the-
pitch. It's the same
Yeah.
volume level.
Yeah.
and that's why
There's nothing much to it.
I love dudes like Jamie from Polaris, Noah Sebastian from Bad Omens.
You can feel the pain in
There
their
is
voice.
so much different. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so in that sense where you're coming from with like Greyhaven's frontman or Norma Jean or something like that. You can Corey Taylor's another one, dude. He's
Yeah.
just pissed.
Yep.
So there is a different feel to a lot of those vocals that just kind of hit you differently, and
Chris
that's why.
from Like Moles to Flames.
Yeah, same
I mean,
thing.
he's here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's completely different, and that's why I appreciated bands like, back in the day. If you go back to like, Bullet, like old Bullet, like
Mhm.
they just pissed off, man.
Yeah.
Like it's just pissed
Bullet,
off.
Old Bullet was the shit.
It
was.
different.
I remember in high school,
Amazing,
angsty,
man.
angsty teenager.
Yep.
Bullet
Yes,
was around. I was
dude.
like,
Bullet
yeah.
was the soundtrack to my high
Yeah.
school years, man.
Dude,
And
and even like in their genre of metalcore, like they were doing some really complex, cool fucking shit.
Mhm.
with
dude, some of
music.
their riffs I still can't play. And and they had, and I've said it on other episodes, but like their cleans were so beautiful.
They were a
wrote,
metal version of, or a metalcore version of Metallica.
They wrote
Kinda,
beautiful
yeah.
songs.
Yeah.
Dude, Hearts Burst Into Fire, Tears Don't Fall, like those are gorgeous
Yeah.
songs.
Yeah,
And
the production even back then. Was,
Oh, it was
05, dude,
amazing.
Poison,
Notch,
the Poison came out in 05 and has
Yep.
master quality like it came out in 2023. And it's just,
Yep.
they're
sometimes
few,
like, it's always crazy to me the production quality of certain albums just get a little extra like perfect touch to them.
hmm
Even if you like, I'm a little bit of an audiophile. You can pick on me all you want. But Peter Gabriel's album, I don't know if you're familiar with
I
him.
know Peter Gabriel.
His album So is like one of the best sounding albums that has just ever been produced. It was made back in like the 70s.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then you got, Mr. fucking Pro Tools up in here with all the plugins in the world and can't even touch that shit.
Yeah.
But then you have, like, I'm a big Billie Eilish fan.
Okay.
You have Billie Eilish, who makes her music with her brother on a MacBook Pro on a single microphone in a fucking bedroom.
Yeah.
Like, they won all those Grammys on stuff that you could go buy at Guitar Center in the
Crazy.
Apple Store today. Nothing special.
Sure.
So it really comes down to the person pushing the buttons and driving the bus. So
And
to
that
speak.
has the ear for,
Yeah, because
So-
it might have been produced in the 80s, but it holds up today
Yeah.
to all the technology and all the crazy shit we have now that we can make perfect music with. And I think that's the big thing now is everything on the radio, and a lot of it is so digital and so perfect
Mhm.
and time aligned and quantized and
Mm-hmm.
tuned and adjusted that it's just like you're beating the fucking life out of it, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Beating the life out of it. It's not.
There's
fun
no like
anymore.
rock and roll to it.
No,
You know?
no.
Yeah.
So to circle back to your point, Tyler, I would say that they are probably more talented than maybe half of the bands that we send, or that I guess we're into or I'm into or whatever. There, I would definitely agree, especially after seeing them live. If I would have just listened to the record and you said that, we'd have been fighting. But after seeing them live, I'm like, yeah, I get where he's coming from. I get where he's coming from.
think they write better songs than 70% of metalcore bands that are out
That
there.
I agree with.
Their songs are
Their songs.
fucking
That I
incredible,
agree
dude.
with. So, but it's,
Give them a
I
chance,
was gonna
dude.
say, I'll give them
Give them a
shot,
fucking
but-
chance. If you need what did it for me, the last album was it. I know there's Echo and Dust, but that wasn't the name of the album. Not the
No,
last
it was,
album, but the albums before. What was the
something-
name of those albums?
The one I have tattooed on me is something black. I can't even think of the fucking.
Anyways,
title of the
I had
album.
listened to whether it's an album or EP, the stuff that Tyler has tattooed on him. Good songs, downloaded 3 of them, I think, roughly, and would
Yeah.
listen like Sweet Machine, White Lighters, and a couple others. Then the new album, they had dropped All Candy and Ornaments from the Well, which are softer.
Empty Black.
Empty Black, yeah. But the new album is shit. It's got the black balloons on the front.
This bright and beautiful world.
Yep, yeah. So I had listened to All Candy when it dropped because you had sent it, and then was it For an Anchor that was the heavy one that they dropped?
Yep.
Okay, and then they dropped Ornaments from the Well, and something about those softer songs, the vibiness of it, maybe the I don't know.
And they're a 3-piece, and they're getting that.
No,
much
they're 4-piece.
depth.
They're 4-piece.
They're 4-piece.
Greyhound's 4-piece.
They're 4-piece.
That's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I digress.
but they have one guitarist.
I get confused when I see. I'm so used to seeing so many bands where the vocalist is playing guitar too.
Yeah, yeah. But
So when I only see like 3 instruments, I'm like, yeah, that's a 3-piece.
yeah. So I had listened to the new album, and it brought me back to the older stuff, and then I went back to the new album on the heavier part, and then I was like, "Yep, I finally fucking get it." I was also listening to old and new Norma Jean at the time, so maybe that was the mood I was in. But it was like, "Yep, I fucking understand it," and now I'm obsessed. I absolutely love it.
So I think you just kind of gave a little bit of a band recommendation for the listeners. Greyhaven. I don't
Yeah.
think we've actually
We
recommended
mentioned them on the
before.
last show, maybe
I
with
don't know
Derek.
if we've recommended them as a
With
as
Derek?
a listen,
Yeah,
but there you go. There's one, right? So
There it is.
go check out
Greyhaven.
Greyhaven. I've got a couple. I've got 2. One of them is from TikTok. I've mentioned him a bunch of times, but my good buddy Jake at Metalcore Highlights mentioned a band called Ocean Sleeper to me. And if you are into bands like Until I Wake that are a metal band that have unclean vocals but have gorgeous cleans, you'll really like Ocean Sleeper. My favorite song by them right now is Forever Sinking. There's another one called Light in My Dark, and then another one called Sleep Life Away. They're all really, really good. So if you like just good old-fashioned metal that's a good combination of screams, great choruses, fun riffs, go check out Ocean Sleeper. Another one that I've been listening to for a long time, and I can't believe I haven't mentioned them yet, but they just dropped some new music and it made me think of them, is a band called Nomad. And if you look them up on, I almost said Amazon.
Doesn't it show up as like
Nomad TN, yeah, Nomad TN, like they're from Tennessee. So their newest song they dropped last fall is called Filth. It's fucking disgusting. I mean, straight up in your face
You're gonna
metalcore.
have to send me that because I
I sent it
enjoyed
in the chat, but I'll have to send it again.
Yeah, I enjoyed the stuff that you had sent I think a couple years
Yeah,
ago.
the song called Dissension, which is like their number one song or whatever, and it came out in 21, so I probably would have sent it then. But they are a killer metalcore band. They dropped their first album in 2019. Song off there called Louisville Death Swing that's fucking killer. So go check out Nomad. Like I said, on Apple Music, they're called Nomad TN. So those are two for me. Does anybody else have anything they want to throw out for the listeners?
Go listen to All Them Witches.
Yep, that's
Yes.
right. Circle back to that. Go listen to All Them Wishes.
Got to.
Okay, sweet. Preston, you got anything?
I got a couple. This is a band I got into a few years ago. Ironic enough that we've talked about overproduced bullshit this whole episode. Metalcore, but they have some poppier choruses. A band known by the name of Archers.
I love Archers.
They got some good shit. They got some real riffy stuff. Very Polaris-esque type riff
Their
stuff.
vocalist is so good.
And yeah, and it's good stuff. So one being Archers, and then two on kind of the other side of the spectrum. Me and Tyler absolutely love this band. Bill Murray.
Oh,
Yes.
dude.
Yeah.
His fucking...
This dude's about to have a
BILMURI.
mental breakdown.
Let me look it up because I'll never remember it.
You will love it. If you're into Dance Gavin Dance and stuff like that, you'll absolutely love Bill Murray.
He's not normally like my kind of shit,
Yeah, I loved him in Groundhog Day.
but he had... he was great in Zombieland.
He was fantastic in Zombieland.
Oh, fuck. What was his album called?
That was a horrible joke. We're gonna have so many
He
people.
he just dropped a new one.
I think it was his album.
Eggy Pocket's good. Wet Milk, they're all good. Fuck, except for the newest one.
His album Frame, I really, really liked.
Ooh, I don't know that I've heard that one.
It's dirty. It's just some dirty fucking riffs in there that I really, really dug at the time.
Frame.
There's a band, and they might be
Yeah, I
like,
never listened to that one.
they might be like way off your guys' radar, but I was really into them when I discovered Bill Murray. They're called Microwave.
Mm-hmm.
They're from Atlanta, Georgia, and they're kind of like a Midwest emo,
Beautiful.
just real kind of sad, but like
You piqued our interest.
when the dude yells, when he screams, like he's doing it with all he's worth. And
Yeah.
they have an album called Much Love.
He didn't even say they were screaming at first. He said they were yelling.
Yelling, yeah. Well, there's a difference between screaming, there's
Yeah.
yelling.
Yes, there is.
When I first started
Yeah.
screaming, I was actually yelling.
There's yelling, there's screaming, and then there's hollering. if you're a vocalist in a band and I walk
Is that
up
what
to you-
Courthouse Prejudice does?
if you're a vocalist in a band and you do aggressive vocals and I walk up to you and I say, man, you got a hell of a holler on you, that means you're doing something fucking right. That is the peak compliment.
That's beautiful.
That guy
I will
fucking
strive
holler.
the rest of my life to hear you say that to me.
You got a hell of a holler.
Oh yeah.
I will fucking Grammy. I will know I made it when Ryan comes up to me and tells me I got a hell of a holler.
You can
But
tell
then-
he's from Southern Ohio.
From Fayette County, bud. But their Microwave's album, Much Love. If you just want to grab like a bottle of bourbon and some beer and some marijuana and be real fucking sad, but listen to
Beautiful.
some of the.
I think those three will get you pretty sad on their own.
Yeah, then the album is just gasoline on the fire.
Oh man.
Especially if you're in a microwave. God, I'm terrible. I gotta somebody stop me.
But the song on there called Vomit. The end of it is, again, we were talking about feeling is like an emotion.
Heavy as a
Heavy
feeling,
is an emotion.
Mhm.
Dude, when it finally drops at the end, it is just, it's dense. Like,
Oh, yeah.
when you see them play it live, you can almost feel the room, like, everything just drops.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, shit.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well,
They've been one of my favorites in the past few years.
y'all, all the listeners got some homework. We just dropped a bunch of bands for y'all to go check out. And I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say thank you for all the music recommendations because you guys are actually going out and checking these bands out and getting back with us and telling us what you think. So, Ryan, man, thanks for coming on,
Yeah,
bro.
absolutely.
I'm glad you're able to make it on a weeknight and come hang out with us. And
I saw Tyler post about it, and I was like, I like drinking, and
yeah.
I love talking about music.
Yep.
And like, there's not a whole lot of people in the world that I can actually sit down and talk about this stuff with, and they're like, I know what you're talking about.
That's why
That's
we
why
created
we
this
did
show,
this
man.
show, man.
That's why we did it.
It's fun. I love doing shit like
Well,
this. So.
I'm glad you were able to come on, and I know that the listeners will appreciate your journey and as well as your information
Yeah.
about being in two bands and how to be successful at that, and and I know a lot of local artists that listen to the show will be able to take some stuff from that and relate to it. So, speaking for them, we appreciate that, man.
It's
And if y'all get a chance, go check out Derailed. They're on all your streaming platforms,
Yep.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, is the other band is
it's called, we're called Akashic
Akashic
Haze.
Haze.
There we go.
Kind of an odd name, but we are out there. But like
Maybe you should spell it.
I was gonna
for
say you might
us
want to spell it.
illiterate people.
Fuck.
You asked me
Dude,
to
I'm
spell it.
I'm a drummer. I can't fucking spell. I barely got my license. It's spelled Akashic and then Haze, Haze.
Okay.
It's kind of a
Okay.
cool thing. I'll explain it. It's pretty quick. Trevor, our front man, he's pretty. I won't call him spiritual in like the religious sense, but he's very in tune with like that kind of shit. And the Akashic records are, I think it's part of Buddhism. I think I could be totally butchering that, but the Akashic records are a religious record of every feeling and event and thing that has ever happened in the existence of humanity, and
Interesting.
being in touch with the Akashic records and life and what happens between people is, you know, like something to be had, you know. And I'm pretty sure it's Buddhism, because I think he's pretty into that shit. And then Haze, because we like smoking marijuana. It's
That was a much shorter explanation.
it's
Hell yeah.
a stoner doom band, but our EP that our plan is to redo it. It's kind of like a concept album, I guess, of like a whole story and whatnot. If you catch us at a show, Trevor can dump it on you. I just hit shit really hard and have fun.
Right.
Drink some beers and go home. And
Hell yeah.
That's
Right.
what I'm here to do. So
Hell yeah, man. Well, thanks again to Ryan for coming on. Hope everybody enjoys this conversation. And until next time, we are the Screaming Idiots, and we'll see you next week.
Peace, love, dove.